Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Report. And this show, I like to be able to do this every single Monday. We go live 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And I want you to think of this as a Raiders Report vent session, especially if the silver and black are coming here after a loss. But I also want to be able to do this show as my Raiders Report presser. I know that Pete Carroll's going to speak to the media today, and Pete's going to sit up there and he's going to say a lot of things, and some of it might be good, some of it might be bad. What I want Raider fans to think of for my Raiders Report presser show on a Monday is any questions that you got going on in your mind right now, I want you to use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get those questions and comments up here on this stream, because to me, the only way that this Monday show is really truly going to work is if you and I have a back and forth, and I do really think that this is a show that can have a lot of success for the simple fact of I have been sitting around, I've been festering, thinking about the Raiders' 25-24 loss to the Chicago Bears. And after a game, it's a lot of emotion, right? It's a lot of emotion. Think of it like maybe you get into a fight with your significant other. Argument, it's probably the better way that I should put it. And, you know, in that moment, there's just a lot of heat. There's a lot of animosity. You're feeling some type of way. So maybe you say a few things that you don't actually mean. So then you sit back, you look at everything, you try to digest the tape, you try to look at the whole situation, and that's what I want to be able to do today. I want to be able to sit back, cool, calm, and collected, and talk about the Raiders game that happened yesterday against the Chicago Bears. So the first thing that we're going to be doing today, full-on recap. And we're going to look at stats. We're going to talk about offense. We're going to talk about defense. Obviously, we're going to talk about Geno Smith. Obviously, we're going to talk about Pete Carroll. We are also going to talk about Colton Miller because we do have an update on him, and it's not a good update. Quite frankly, I don't know if it could have happened at a worse time here for the Raiders. I did reach out to some members of Miller's team. I'm still waiting back for a little bit more extra information, but the ankle issue with Miller, I hate to break it to you, it's not looking good for number 74. Then what I want to be able to do is look at some of the top storylines going into Week 5 because, you know, as a Raiders fan, you know, I sit up here and I'm like, I want Geno Smith and the Raiders to look at that game tape and see what went right, what went wrong, and learn from it. I also, though, as a Raiders fan, and if I was in that room, I would say we also have to be able to move on. You got to be able to get ready to go Week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts because with a 1-3 record, yes, Week 1 was important. Yes, Week 2 was important. Yes, Week 3 was important. Yes, Week 4 was important. But there has never been a more important week for the Las Vegas Raiders underneath Pete Carroll than Week 5. Because if you go 1-4, I think we all know what that means. And I don't want to already get to that point in the season. So again, if you want to get your questions, comments up here on the show, use hashtag Raiders. That tells our producer Lopez, shout out to him for stepping up today. Because again, every single Super Chat, every single Venmo that we ever get here on the show doesn't go in my pocket. It goes to getting you guys more content. And the fact that Raider Nation showed up and showed out yesterday, Jeremy's coming in later today. Reed's coming in later today. There's 2 Monday Night Football games. So I said, I need a producer to do this show. Lopez said, I got you. I'm going to step up. Why? Because Raider Nation always shows up. And then, well, maybe someone can win a little bit of money and put a smile on some faces today. So it's a $10 Venmo to get in the duck race. I did already see we had one coming in late last night, and I missed it. I didn't technically miss it. This person sent it in late. So to the Jeremy Valve, I am going to give you 2 ducks into this duck race just because I saw yesterday you try to get in the duck race. Unfortunately for you, you were unable to do it because it was after our race. So if you want to get in, you want to win a little bit of money, let's talk about the Raiders here on today's show. We are going to get into everything that you need to know, but I do have a few questions in regards to the silver and black. The first one, it's this. Should the Raiders bench Geno Smith? Yes or no? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm going to give you guys some shout-outs here on the program. And to Steven Stockcotton down in the comments, I saw your, win, lose, or tie, Raiders support till I die. I greatly appreciate that message because I know how frustrating it is to watch a football team lose over and over and over again, year after year after year. And, you kind of get your hopes up, and then you kind of get kicked in the dick every single season. Like, I know how frustrating it is. And, when I sit up here and I go, I hope that you guys don't give up on us because whether you guys know it or not, like, if you don't watch the Raiders Report, that obviously does impact me. It obviously impacts Chat Sports. It obviously impacts Jeremy. It obviously impacts Nick, right? Like, it impacts us all. And I don't want people to think that you have to do all the crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, I still hope that people always tune into the show, because I promise you this. We're going to have a hell of a time tonight on Monday Night Football. We're going to have a hell of a time on Thursday Night Football. And even if the Raiders don't show up, I'm going to show up. And I hope that Raider Nation also decides to show up. So should the Raiders bench Geno Smith? Yes or no? If you also haven't voted at the live poll at the top of the show, please make sure that you do so, because that also is like, who are you going to start at quarterback? And I understand that this is a question, and I see professionals saying cut Geno. Like that to me, that's a dumb comment. And I say that because you can't cut Geno Smith. You know that the Raiders can't cut Geno Smith, right? Like, if you cut him, you're going to eat a whole bunch of money, and then what do you do at the quarterback position? To me, I just want to see, if you're going to say, yes, it's time to bench him, then who's going to be the starter, right? Like, I personally do think that it's too early to bench Geno Smith. I don't think that the Raiders can do it. I don't think that you can do it simply because you don't really have a better quarterback option on this roster. I don't think Kenny Pickett is better. Aiden O'Connell definitely isn't better. Obviously, Cam Miller on the practice squad isn't better. I do have some deals that I want to tell you all about in a moment. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor here on today's live show, and it is Prize Picks. I love Prize Picks, and I know I say this all the time to y'all, but like, I mean this. If you're planning on watching a game, I don't care if it's baseball, I don't care if it's football, I don't care if it's basketball. If you're going to sit back and watch a game, why not get a lineup in? That way you have the opportunity to put a little bit of extra money in your pocket. Because, let's face it, you and I make decisions every single day. And on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. If you want to see my Monday Night Football picks that I got rolling on here tonight, this is 10 to win, $60. It is a 6-pick flex play. So if all 4 of these hit, 10 goes to 60. If 3 out of the 4 win, then I make 10. That turns that into $20. If you want to roll with this lineup, Tua, I took the more on 1.5 rushing yards. Hopefully it ends up happening. Bo Nix, I think he stinks. Give me the less on the passing yards. Chase Brown, I have him in fantasy, and I need to be able to get a win. So 18.5 receiving yards, give me the more there. And then J.K. Dobbins, the running back for the Broncos, give me the more with the rushing yards. And if you're like, all right, Mitch, I want to roll with that lineup, then download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So we're going to go back here. I see a super chat that we got. I'm going to answer that one. I'll tell you the deals that we have here on today's program. And then I see a lot of comments down below. And I think that we should talk about, obviously, what is being stated here, right? Like, I'm asking, should the Raiders bench Geno Smith? And I'm seeing a lot of yeses right now. I even see Charles Lewis saying AOC is better than Geno, which I understand the frustration around Geno, but I think saying AOC is better than Geno Smith when you saw how bad Aiden O'Connell was this preseason, it's a tough pill to swallow for me. I don't think AOC is anywhere near Geno, but I also understand, like, one of the topics that's going to be coming up here on today's program is, again, I think I know Raider Nation very well, and that comment that Charles is putting in there, I think is exactly why the heat is about to get turned up even higher on number 7. What up, Sean? Did the Boogeyman breakout game show more of the O-line play or Genty's growth? I mean, to me, I look at a few things for the Ashton Genty game. One, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I know Chip Kelly, they tried to fix Ashton Genty's stance. The Michael Myers stance is clearly the stance that Ashton Genty needs to go with, and the numbers absolutely positively prove that, which you guys can see up here on screen. I think the other thing, though, that we got to talk about is how bad the Chicago Bears defensive line is, because entering this game, Chicago was allowing 5.5 yards per carry. Chicago was second worst rushing a team, or second team against the rush. Like, they've struggled immensely stopping running backs. The Raiders allowed 3 pressures yesterday. The Raiders allowed 51 pressures entering that game. I think for Raiders fans, it's a little bit of a balance of, we had a good offensive line game that clearly showed they got better. That's awesome. We also clearly saw that when you give Ashton Jeanty room, dude can be special. I think also, though, the Chicago Bears are the worst, or one of the worst defensive lines in the National Football League. So, yes, there's some glass half full, but also we got to look at it and go, the Chicago Bears have been really bad. So I think if you're a Raiders team, you got to sit back and go, all right, we're getting better. That's good. But we also can't say that it's absolutely fixed, because now you're going to have to figure out what to do without Colton Miller, and now you're going to have to figure out what you have to do against a team that doesn't have one of the worst defensive lines in the National Football League. So if you don't know what our Monday's deals are, here are the Monday deals. If you want to get up on screen, super chat, or vent with the hashtag Raiders, and we're going to talk about it. If you want a chance to win a signed Ashton Jeanty helmet, he had himself a hell of a game, so my deals are around him. $5 super chat, you get 2 Jeanty raffle tickets. We're giving away this helmet tomorrow on the Raiders Report at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want a chance to put some money in your pocket, it's a $10 Venmo at Mitchell Rents 365. The best deal that I got for you today, $20 super chat, gets you 10 Jeanty raffle tickets, which I just saw my guy Fabian Moreno decided to get in on that deal. If you throw in a hundo, it's a bang, and I'm also going to give you 50 raffle tickets for a shot to win this Ashton Jeanty helmet, which is going to be going down tomorrow. It's going to be going down tomorrow. Let's go to the next super rolling in here on the Raiders Report from the Night Devil. Question going forward is not should we bench Geno, is will we see consistency soon? O-line, D-play, Geno will not always be crap, but when he does fall, can we count on a play like yesterday from the other groups to give us a chance? And I agree with you. I think people that are saying it's time to bench Geno Smith, that is the prime example of what a overreaction Monday show is. And I knew that there was going to be a lot of overreactions, and, I'm seeing it down in the comments, right? I'm seeing people saying Aiden O'Connell is better than Geno Smith. To me, that's laughable, and I know that person probably doesn't honestly believe it. There's probably just, a layer of frustration there just because how bad Geno has played. Now, let me be transparent, right? I said it earlier on my show. Has Geno played bad enough to be benched? Yes, everybody here thinks that. Has Geno Smith played bad enough to warrant the questions of should he be benched? Yeah, abso-flippin'-lutely. But also at the exact same time, I think people don't always realize, people think that the grass is always green on the other side. And, when we were sitting up here last season talking about Aiden O'Connell, right, Desmond Ridder, all these other quarterbacks, Geno Smith is, in my personal opinion, clearly better than Kenny Pickett. Geno Smith is light years better than Aiden O'Connell. And I just think, what the Raiders got to figure out is that consistency. What it looks like right now is a team that's got a brand new OC, a brand new head coach, a brand new quarterback, a brand new offensive line, a brand new running back, a brand new, everything on offense. It's so many brand new things that it's staggering. But what you also got to consider is Geno Smith is playing the worst football of his career right now. He is. And if people are like, oh, I knew it was going to happen. I mean, with all due respect, if you watch what Geno looked like his first 3 years, the past 3 years with Seattle, that Geno Smith and this Geno Smith are totally different. That Geno Smith was very accurate. That Geno Smith made a lot proper decisions. The Geno Smith we got right now is forcing the football, making bad reads, not showing the ability to be accurate. So, I think what you got to look at is how the Raiders can do what they did yesterday, because I thought they improved on offense. I thought they improved on defense. I thought they improved on special teams. It's not too often can you sit back and go, I literally think the only reason why we lost was because of our quarterback play. And I really do believe that. I believe 100% the reason why the Raiders lost that game yesterday is because of number 7. And I don't think that you can look at it any other way. But I'm hoping that the answer to our problems is Ashton Jeanty. I'm hoping the answer to our problems is that we're going to be able to get this ground game going, because that should be able to help out Geno Smith. That should be able to help out Chip Kelly. And, Geno's going to get better. He's got to get better. Chip Kelly's going to get better. Like, to me, this is the best Chip Kelly game that we've seen throughout the entire season. And, hopefully with a healthy Brock Bowers, you get it rolling a little bit more. But, yeah, we can always get better. Night Devil, thank you for the super chat, my man. Thank you for always supporting the show. Let's go to Nick Sanchez. You're next up here on the program. I'm not saying to bench Geno because Pickett is better, but because anybody will be mentally done after the second INT and it goes downhill fast. So you're not saying to bench Geno because Pickett is better, but you're saying because, like, if Geno throws another interception, he's going to fold and crumble a little bit. Like, what I'm concerned about, and maybe I'm picking up what you're putting down, maybe I'm not. If I'm not, yell at me here. But I think what you're talking about here is, like, Geno Smith right now, he knows in the back of his mind, if he throws another interception, it's going to be like, holy shit, I literally can't throw another pick. And what I saw yesterday from Geno was a quarterback that looked like he was pressing. I always make the joke, when you're playing football, when you're playing sports, when you're doing it, you got to be loosey-goosey. Yesterday, Geno Smith, tight butthole. And you could tell that he was pressured. Like you could tell he was stressing out. He was holding on to the ball even longer. His throws weren't even like crisp. Like you could just tell there was that split-second guess. And I don't know how to fix the Geno Smith issues. I don't think any of us here necessarily know how to fix the Geno Smith issues, but I agree with you. Like, I don't think Kenny Pickett is better. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell isn't better, but mentally, Geno's got to be mentally more tough. Because what I saw yesterday was a quarterback went over on the bench and started pouting and crying like a little baby. I want the Geno Smith that was flipping up the birds to that Seahawks fan that's got a lot of swagger, that's got a lot of that, you know what, that's a guy that I can rally behind, and that's a guy that I believe in. Because right now, teams take on their identity of their leaders. And right now, Geno Smith is scaring the hell out of me because he looks mentally weak on the football field, and I don't believe that he is a mentally weak player at all. I also think that you got to look at what Pete Carroll has said, and my problem with Pete yesterday was, he said, like, when he was asked about benching Geno, he's like, no, we're not there yet. And there's been a few times where Geno or, Pete Carroll has asked a question about, he was asked, like, about JPJ. He was asked about Geno. Like, I want Pete Carroll to have the mentality of every player is kind of the same, right? Like, if every player has to compete for their position, my problem yesterday was Pete kind of made it sound like Geno doesn't need to compete for his position. And just because Geno is a you guy, Pete, doesn't mean that he doesn't have to go out there and compete for his position. We got 400 people here in the building. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Since we got a lot of people right now hating on Geno, how many interceptions will Geno throw this upcoming season? He's already got 7. He is on pace for 30 interceptions. 30 interceptions. The NFL record is 42, held by Vinny Testaverde, which is wild. Only one quarterback since the year 2000 has thrown for 30 interceptions in a season. That was Jameis Winston, who also had John Spytek there on that roster. But I'm going to give some shout-outs here, and I want you to answer this question honestly. If Geno Smith starts all 17 games for the Silver and Black, how many interceptions do you think he's going to throw? Let's give some shout-outs here. This should be interesting. USMC says 49. My goodness. Young says 15 minimum. Joshua Garcia says 15. I'm not going to lie, that's kind of the number that I'm looking at. I think it's got to be around 15 to 16, and I only say that because he's already got 7, so that's clearly rough. Extreme PC, I'm going to go less on that. Austin Grenz is going to go with 18. What do you got? If Geno starts all 17, how many do the Raiders win? I think you're hoping for 7 wins. 1. It's not great. It's not great. Yeah, I know. 20 from Vincenzo. Raider Nation 80 is going to go 14. Charles Lewis says 55. Charles. I mean, Charles, I love the passion here early. Clearly, you're not a Geno guy, and that's fine. I don't expect people to be a Geno guy. Like, I don't blame anybody for not being a Geno guy right now. It's really hard to defend somebody that has played as poorly and as bad as what they've played, no doubt about it. But keep it going. How many interceptions down below? for Geno Smith this season. Let's go to a super chat coming in from Bill from Jersey. Also, I'm seeing some people get in this duck race. Victor Lobos, you're in. Fabian, you're in. Philip Boger is in. And then Raymond Sanchez is in as well. Bill, I don't think benching Geno for the season is logical. I agree. But I do think yesterday when we were forced to be one-dimensional, he should have been benched. Can't preach compete for everyone and not for Geno. I agree with everything you're saying here. Again, I agree with everything you're saying here. I don't know if I would have benched him after that third interception, but I do think that it's got to be at least a possibility. And maybe I think that's what you're saying here as well. To me, it at least has to be a possibility. You can't sit up there in front of all your players and say, hey, I value each and every one of y'all the exact same, but yet, you see JPJ go out there, clearly the best offensive line. He's clearly better than Jordan Meredith. He's clearly better than Dylan Parham. He was the highest graded interior offensive lineman for the Raiders yesterday, but you're making him compete for his job. I don't have a problem with you making players compete for their job, but why is it JPJ has to compete, Jordan Meredith doesn't have to compete, and when asked about it, it's absolutely not. And then also when you're asked about a you guy, Geno Smith, it's also a very, absolutely not type of answer. If I want to believe in Pete Carroll, not only for this year, but I want to believe in Pete Carroll for the future. And if I'm a player and I'm sitting back looking at that and I'm going, well, Pete Carroll is treating guys that he brings in differently. That's very Josh McDaniels-y. And I know that that's not going to go well in a locker room. I know that's not going to go well in a locker room. You know that that's not going to go well in the locker room. So we're all kind of sitting back here looking to see what exactly the Raiders should do. But benching him right now, I do not think makes any sense. Because, again, you don't have a better option. You can just see the growing pains. And sometimes we forget about the growing pains that happen when you establish a brand new offense. And this is what it is. It's an entirely brand new offense. And for the Raiders, they believe in Geno. They want Geno to be the quarterback this year. They want Geno to be the quarterback next season. So I think what you're going to see is the Raiders really, truly roll with the punches. And they're probably going to keep throwing number 7 out there. So I don't know what the number has to be for interceptions that he gets to, but I am still going to talk about it, right? I'm going to talk about benching Geno. I'm going to talk about the conversations that need to be had because nobody is above the shield. Yes, I've been a Geno supporter. I do, man. I have been a big advocate of Geno Smith. But at the same time, if he's playing bad, I'm not afraid to say that I was wrong because right now I am so flipping wrong thinking Geno Smith was going to be a good quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. So flipping wrong. And there's no doubt about it. I got some more super chats coming up here in just a moment. But you know what? I want to give a special shout out to our MVP of yesterday's watch party. Huge shout out to LCA, Lord Cameron Abbott. And because Cameron went wild yesterday, I'm going to give away a Ashton Genty raffle ticket today. So if you want an opportunity to win this signed Ashton Genty helmet, all I want you to do is have a little bit of fun at the LCA because it is fun to stay at the LCA. Spam it down below. We are going to give some shout outs here to the people spamming LCA, and we're going to give a free raffle entry for a chance to win a signed Ashton Genty helmet. I see Robert Jansen down below. What up, Drew Himalayan? Bridget Rivera here in the building. Jeremy Cole. Jeremy Cole, I got you, man. I know some people that might not follow this show. This is a gift that Jeremy Cole gave me, and I hold it near and dear to my heart. And I'll tell you this, man. That's, I've gotten a lot of really cool Raiders things, but that's definitely up there with one of my favorites. Joshua Garcia, I see here in the building. What up, Common? Common was a freaking legend yesterday. Quinn Cottle, Raider Nation 75, Bay Raider RG. The Venmo you sent me yesterday, the kind words. Bayou, shout out to you, dude. Kitus, Ron Raspberry. Shout out to Hot Dog, Austin Grenz. I don't know what happened to the guy, Charles Lewis. Charles, I'll say this, dude. If all you're going to do is just rag the Raiders, maybe you're not a Raiders fan. I don't think that you are right now. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that. But, to me, if I'm going to ask to spam LCA for somebody that showed a little bit of love and you're not going to do it, it is what it is. It's free speech. I'm not going to, take that away from you. But this will be the last time I notice you on this show. And I'm just letting you know. Jeremy, LCA, U.S. Marine, LCA. Drew OC. I see GF and Monkey. Who do you think should get it, Lopez? Who do you think's the guy spamming LCA the most down there below? And if you don't got your mic on, that's on me. But
No, I'm just gotta unmute it.
what are we going with here? I'm going to go with, how about this? Let's give one to the very first person that I saw do it was, I'm going to go back up here. Though Quinn Cottle's been spraying it down there. I'm going to give this one to Quinn. Quinn Cottle. Quinn Cottle, I got you.
I know he just got in. He got 2 more in the raffle entry too. He just sent a $5 super chat.
Baller. Quinn Cottle, I got you. So to the 450 people that are watching the show right now, I greatly appreciate all y'all because you don't have to watch the Raiders Report after a tough Raiders loss. And, to everybody down there spamming LCA, it's great. Seriously, you guys are always showing love to each other. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I have seen a few questions come in that are hashtag Raiders. Right now we have plenty of super chats to get through. If the super chats we have, we're always going to go to those. If you're somebody throwing in a hashtag Raiders down below, then I think what you need to be able to do and figure out here is how to get it up on screen, which we have some hashtag Raiders that we'll be able to do. To Corey Rice, Mitch needs to change the narrative because he knows he's wrong. I don't know what narrative I guess you're talking about. I would say, to me, I'm trying to figure out a way how to be positive around this Raiders team. I think that's got to be the narrative that we go with here. Have I been wrong on Geno Smith? Absolutely. But we're 1-3. I think the season is far from over, and I think benching Geno is more of the season's over, let's tank move, and I don't think that you're a tank team, and I don't think the Raiders want to tank this season. Let's go to Mex. What up, dude? Mitch, I have connections with a certain baby oil individual. Say the word, and I can make the Geno issue go away if you know what I mean. I got no idea what you're talking about. Who? Oh, God. I don't know. Lopez said he thinks it's a Diddy joke. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into whatever the heck this is about. I don't know what to say about this. I don't know. You got me, Mex. You got me. Let's go to the next one. What up, Drew? Look ahead to the 2027 draft. Dylan Raiola needs to be the future quarterback of the Raiders. I'll tell you this right now. Dylan Raiola, if I was a betting man, Dylan Raiola is not the top betting favorite to be the Raiders quarterback in 2027. Done with the retreads and rentals. We need a young quarterback for the future. The name that every single Raider fan needs to keep in mind, okay? The name that y'all need to keep in mind, CJ Carr. Why? Because if Pete Carroll, John Spytek, and Tom Brady are the one calling the shots, we know how much coaching connections matter to this team. CJ Carr has got connections to John Spytek, and he's got connections to Tom Brady. Why? Well, John Spytek and Tom Brady were coached by CJ Carr's, his grandfather? Is that who it would be? Lloyd Carr?
I think so, yeah.
So, they're already, I'm telling you this right now, there are already rumblings that I've heard around CJ Carr. And that's just a cold, hard fact. Now, Dylan Raiola has played well. Arch Manning is probably going to come out that year, though Arch Manning looks like a quarterback that I don't even think is draftable right now. Raiola's interesting, and I know that he's interesting. He looks a lot like Mahomes, and I've always joked that I think Mahomes. It'd be hilarious if Raiola was a better Mahomes and looked exactly like him. It'd be a dream come true. I know Raider fans got mad at me last year when I said Dylan Raiola, if he was better than Mahomes, I would take him in a heartbeat. And people were like, no, he looks like Mahomes. If there's a guy that's better than Patrick Mahomes and you say no to that, I'm going to question your overall thought process and logic. But to me, CJ Carr is the name to keep in mind. And I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with the idea that we got to be able to go out and find a quarterback of the future because clearly the retreads, it's just not working out for this organization. Geno Smith is playing the worst football that I've seen Geno play in a long, long time. And here's the thing, Gardner Minshew also played some of the worst football I've ever seen and play in a long time. Jimmy Garoppolo played some of the worst football that he played. And not only do you have to go out and trade, sometimes you got to go out and pay these guys a lot of money. where you could just be able to develop a young quarterback. The problem was, I see a lot of people talking about, like a Shedeur Sanders. Like you're not going to be able to develop a young quarterback unless you have a good offensive line. And right now, I think what you're seeing the Raiders do is they're trying to do the best they can with the offensive line that they have. Though, credit to the O-line. I mean, that wasn't the reason why we lost yesterday. The reason why we lost yesterday was Geno Smith and Geno Smith alone. Let's go to my man, Quinn. What up, Quinn? Oh, Quinn, I feel you. Our offensive line actually got their shit together for a bit. Genty is actually him. Max balled out. I mean, I was talking to our Bears guy, Harrison Graham, and he was like, that might have been single-handedly one of the best games I've ever seen a player play. Caleb Williams yesterday after the game said Max Crosby is the best player he's ever gone up against. And when you watch that game yesterday, I've seen a lot of Max Crosby games, man. Yesterday's game, 3 PBUs, an interception, I don't know how, 3 tackles for losses, 5 tackles. He technically didn't have a sack because the fumble that Caleb had, they rolled that actually as a rush. But, Max Crosby's game yesterday was bananas. And what's really sad is we are pissing away, and I mean this, we are pissing away a career, and it's really sad to see because Max is only going to be able to handle the losing for so long. And I think when you look at the structure of Crosby's contract, if we're not winning football games come 2027, you could bet I would bet $100 right now to anybody here. If we're not a winning team come 2027, Max Crosby will be traded. And it's why his contract is structured the way that it is. I'm not saying Max has told me that. Max would probably deny him wanting to be traded or being traded in the future. But the contract that Max Crosby signed, and in my experience doing this show, if the Raiders aren't winning by 2027, he is gone. And we got to be able to realize that. What up, Ryan? Scared for Indy for Geno. It's indoors in a dome. Yeah, it's wild, man. It's the 14 games that Geno Smith played in a dome and indoors with the Seattle Seahawks, all on the road, by the way. 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The 2 home dome games that Geno Smith has played with the Raiders, 1 touchdown, 6 interceptions. I mean, it's an unworldly type of bad right now for number 7. It's unworldly type of bad. Let's go to the Fabian, the Night Devil. Felt bad for Thornton yesterday. Yes, bad throw, and game-changing potential catch, but could tell it hit hard. Obviously I'm very well connected with Dante and his agent. I did not reach out to those guys about this play, but you could tell Dante after that play, it hit him hard. And if you don't know what play we're talking about, it was the 3rd down. I want to say it was 3rd down and goal, and Geno Smith threw a ball. It was a crossing pattern to Dante Thornton Jr. The ball needed to be here. The problem was it was by his knees. Does Geno Smith need to throw a better football? Yes, absolutely. Does Dante Thornton need to catch that football? Yes, absolutely. And, if you're able to get that ball a little bit higher, if you're able to catch that, that's in the end zone, that's a touchdown. Raiders probably win that game. When you give the ball away the amount of times the Raiders did yesterday, I mean, it felt like a game that the Raiders didn't want to win. It also felt like a game that the Bears didn't want to win. And it really just came down to who made plays when it mattered the most. The Chicago Bears made more plays when it mattered the most. The Las Vegas Raiders didn't. But you're not wrong. I know for a fact that play really, truly, truly did eat up Dante Thornton Jr. Let's go to the next super chat rolling in here. And it's Miller time. I don't know if you mean, I'm guessing you mean Cam Miller, which, I mean, obviously it's a dumb take. And I don't think that you honestly believe that it's Cam Miller time either. Miller is just nowhere near. It's Kenny Pickett. If the Raiders bench Geno Smith, the only quarterback that they're going to consider playing is going to be Kenny Pickett. Why? They traded for him, and he's got ties to this organization. So Cam Miller is a practice squad quarterback. I don't know how anybody could say it's Miller time and be serious about it when you saw that he's just clearly not ready to go. And I think if people cared about Cam Miller, you would let him develop a little bit more. You would let him turn into a better quarterback overall, because you putting him out there right now with an offensive line without Colton Miller, and if that's what you want to talk about, I'd much rather talk about Colton Miller and the ankle injury that he sustained, because it looks like a high ankle sprain, and it looks like he's going to be out multiple weeks, which is really bad news for us because he's been the best offensive lineman that we have. If that's the Miller time you want to talk about, then I'd rather talk about that one. What up, Noah? Our team is gray areas. Max Bowers, our defense overall is playing amazing. I believe in our coaching staff, and Geno is going to figure it out. I mean, I hope Geno figures it out. I'll tell you this, though. I don't have confidence that Geno is going to figure it out. And I say that because he doesn't have it up here right now. He clearly doesn't have it up here right now. His thought process, his decision-making, he looks like a very different quarterback. Like, again, I watched every single snap of Geno Smith last season. I watched every single snap of Geno Smith basically his past 3 years with Seattle. It looks like a very different quarterback from a confidence standpoint, from an ability to bounce back standpoint, and I don't necessarily know what the issue is. Maybe he's not comfortable in the Chip Kelly offense, and that could be it. Maybe he's still just, learning a brand new offense overall. Maybe it's going to take time for him to learn that. But yes, Max is great. Yes, Bowers is great. He's clearly not healthy. Genty, I think, showed some flashes, but to say our defense is great, I disagree with the topic because, yes, we got more pressure yesterday. The Bears' offensive line, though, is also one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. We still need to be able to generate more pressure. We still need more help on that defensive line. We also need guys that can cover. Kai Blue Kelly is a major liability at that cornerback position. Eric Stokes is dealing with a knee injury, which means Darian Porter and Kai Blue Kelly up against a physical Indianapolis Colts team. That scares the absolute bejesus out of me. And then we don't have a free safety. I'm getting frustrated with the Raiders simply because they're not using Isaiah Paul-Amal the right way. Isaiah Paul-Amal is a damn good safety. Your problem is you're using him as a free safety. You wouldn't take a second baseman and put him out at center field because you need a center fielder. Smart organizations would go out and they would try to find a center fielder. Paul-Amal, you put him up near the box, you let him be a strong safety, he would get better and better and better. But because we are using him as a free safety, he's literally the worst free safety in the NFL, according to PFF and according to a lot of other metrics. Why? Because he's not a free safety. Let's go to 6 new generation. This is Miller time, guy. Geno Smith is okay, but what do you think about Cam Miller time? And I'll bet you 200. I'm a man of my word that Crosby is a Raider for life, baby. Here's the thing. I don't want to bet 200 on that because I don't want to be right and saying that I don't think Max is going to be a Raider. I know Max wants to be a Raider for life. I want Max to be a Raider for life. You want Max to be a Raider for life. But at the exact same time, the contract is the contract. And I promise you, and I'm not even going to make you give me the 200. If the Raiders are not a winning football team, and I'm serious, Max will not be a Raider in 2027. He's got $0 million guaranteed on his contract. In today's day and age of the NFL, teams backload deals. Why? Makes it cheaper to go out and add more talent early on. And then once that contract gets higher and higher, salary cap goes up. I think the Raiders are very telling because, we were wondering, why do we have all this extra money? Why aren't we doing anything? I think when the Raiders gave front-loaded Max's contract to $38 million in year one, $32 million next season, and then $29 million in that third year with no million guaranteed, when you look at the final 3 years of that extension, none of those 3 years are guaranteed contracts, which makes it very, very easy to trade a player of Max Crosby's caliber because think about it. Max Crosby under $30 million per year? That is an absolute steal. It's a steal right now, Max's contract. So, when you think about that 3 years from now, he's not even going to be in the top 10. He might not even be in the top 12 highest paid defensive ends. He'll probably get a brand new deal with a new team that ends up trading for him, but I hope you're right. But Miller time? No. It's definitely not Cam Miller time. How y'all feeling about this? And, because to me, we've put a lot of concentration on Geno Smith. We've put a lot of concentration on, Pete Carroll. But I also think that there's areas for us to improve on offense. There's areas, for us to improve on the defensive side of the football. So if you want to be able to make an improvement, we got to look at our offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, or our defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. Out of those two coaches, out of those two coordinators, who do you have more confidence in? Type Chip Kelly, type Patrick Graham, or you just type CK or a PG down below. I'll give you guys some shout-outs here. BHC Jimmy, Max is going to Detroit. I think you're just saying that because he grew up in that area, but right now, they have Aiden Hutchinson. I don't really see them being actually the team that would go out and get him. I'm seeing a lot of PGs right now, which I think is the right answer. From My Guitar to Heat Got Him, Fat Bearded Dad. What's going on, Fat Bearded Dad? Good to have you here, man. Bad Driver, Joshua Garcia, Jersey Boy Greaser, Quiet Storm, Our defense bailed us out a lot yesterday from James. Completely agree. PG all day from Rich LV. Neither from Fat Rick Swayza. B. Jones going to go PG. Quinn Cottle. Vincenzo Peoples. Yeah, I see a lot of Patrick Grahams down below. And again, I don't really blame Raiders fans for going with the PG route. BHC Jimmy, Mitch, don't know shit. We've been losing ever since he's been reporting Raiders news. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to blame me for all the Raiders losses, that's fine. But I also know the Raiders were losing far before me. I also know this. The Raiders would be a winning franchise if I was the one calling the shots. And it's hard to say right now because I was confident in Geno Smith. Geno would not have been the top quarterback that I would have gone after. And I think people that watch this show know that. But my videos prove that we would be a much better team if the Raiders would follow my free agency, draft, and a lot of the other moves that I've said. So I know you're just upset, and I don't blame you. I'm upset too, man, because watching the Raiders right now is pissing me off. Let's go to B. Joe. What up, B. Joe? Should we have gotten Rodgers or Fields? I don't know. I don't mind the idea. I still think in my heart of hearts, Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, and I still think in my heart of hearts, Geno Smith is a better quarterback than Justin Fields. The big difference here, though, is I think, one, you got to give credit to Aaron Rodgers. He's looked really good. He's looked 40 years old, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are also, I think, doing a lot of things that help him out. Justin Fields, he's playing tonight. We'll see exactly what he looks like. 0-3 start for the New York Jets. What I do find interesting, and one of the ideas that I talked about earlier this offseason is, I kind of wanted the Raiders to replicate what the Philadelphia Eagles did. And it's a FU style of football where you upgrade your offensive line, you get a quarterback that can run, and then you get a running back like Ashton Genty. And, to me, I look at the makeup of the Raiders right now, and I look at just this team overall. If you were to ask me, in the current state of the Las Vegas Raiders, which quarterback would I rather have? This might surprise people out of these two. I would rather go with Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers, and it's only because I don't think Aaron Rodgers would survive behind this offensive line. I saw people talking about Aiden O'Connell. I don't think Aiden O'Connell would survive behind this offensive line. Can you imagine how many sacks the Raiders would allow if Aiden O'Connell was on this team right now, if he was the starting quarterback? I don't think it's just as easy to say, oh, we'll swap this quarterback for this quarterback. And yes, Geno was bad yesterday. No doubt about it. But I also think that he's seeing ghosts. And I think right now his confidence is shattered because of how bad the line has been the first 3 weeks of the season. We obviously got to correct it. I hope that we're able to correct it moving forward. But if you were to ask me, would I rather Geno Smith, Aaron Rodgers, or Justin Fields, I still would say Geno Smith. And I know it's only 4 weeks into the season, and I know it's 4 weeks into the season, but I still believe that Geno's better than those two guys. What up, 6, Jen? I get you and understand, but damn, that's crazy. I hope we can still keep Max, and I love your work. What you do for the Raiders, you're my number one biggest fan on this podcast. Again, I hope Raider fans see the commitment to excellence that we try to bring every single day. I'm just as frustrated as all y'all because, this is my job. This is how I put food on my table. This is how I put a roof over my head. Obviously, I would love to be able to talk about a team that wins. Obviously, I would love to be able to, sit up here every single day, Victory Monday, doing beer bongs, freaking screaming from the rooftop. But, that's just not the situation that we're in. And I've made more content than anybody else around the Raiders. I understand that. But I think that because of our audience here, because I think the true OGs, the true real ones that, show up every single day know that you will be a smarter Raider fan watching the show. Obviously, not every single one of my takes is going to be right. I also make more takes than anybody on the planet around the Las Vegas Raiders. But, getting messages like this on a day like today, it does mean a lot to me, right? Because I don't know if you guys are going to show up. And I know for the most part, mainly my OGs and the real ones, they're always going to show up. But, the way that this show grows, the way that, we've had 6,000 new subscribers this month, that's unbelievable. Compared to last year, in the months of December, November, we were less than 1,000 subscribers a month. Why? Because you have your fair weather fans that only want to watch when the Raiders are winning. And I don't blame them because it's a lot more fun when you're watching when you're winning. But to me, I want the Raiders support to take that next step. And I want this show to grow. I want this show to continue to grow and grow and grow. But I also know that it can't grow and it won't grow if the Raiders aren't winning. So for me, it's that own personal struggle that I deal with. But Like, I want to be able to reach new audience members. The problem is the new audience members really only want to watch a team that's winning. Let's go to Henry Payne. What's up, brother? 6 new. Jen, seriously, dude, I greatly appreciate your super chats today. I saw Chug's post on TikTok for the Texans. Tell him the nation said keep JPJ's name out of his mouth. Yeah, the trade that Chug's proposed was basically, I don't remember what it was exactly. It was like a 4th-round pick and a defensive end for JPJ. But, like, the reason why Chugs is talking about it, it's the same reason why I was talking about it last week. Because clearly the Raiders had something against JPJ, or they have something against Jackson Powers Johnson. Because anybody that watches the game, anybody that watches the Raiders knows and goes, that's your best offensive lineman. Again, outside of Colton Miller. Like, you can't tell me, again, if coaches are as smart as what our coaches are, if Pete Carroll and Brendan Carroll could look me dead in the eyes and go, I actually think that Alex Kappa, Dylan Parham, and Jordan Meredith are better offensive linemen than JPJ. Chip Kelly, I'm looking at you too. Like, that just screams you just don't know this team well enough. And that's nerve-wracking to me, right? But I don't want to trade JPJ. Obviously, with the injury to Colton Miller, it's not going to happen. And they're not going to trade him. Let's go to the next one. Rolling in here, Henry. Cheers to you, bro. What up, Suave? I agree with you on defense. I meant amazing compared to what we expected. Okay, I agree with that. But I do think Geno's issues are more X's and O's, but guess we will see. I think Geno's issues are up here. And I just say that because he's second-guessing himself. And it's something that you can see on tape. Like, to me, you can see, like, there's like a little hitch in his throw sometimes where you're like, that ball needs to come out. And instead of a laser beam, it's a second guess, and then it comes out. And he's late a lot. Like, the amount of throws that Geno is missing late on where guys are having to reach back, and that's where he's getting picked off a lot. He's also staring down Jacoby Myers. And, you know, like, I wanted to see more out of Dante Thornton Jr. I want to see more out of Jack Besh. And I think that those two players have to be involved in this offense a little bit more because teams are keying on right now Jacoby Myers. Why? Because they know Brock Bowers isn't 100% healthy. They don't think that the Raiders are good enough to be able to run on a consistent basis. So for Geno Smith right now, teams are trying to take away that safety blanket of Jacoby Myers. Geno's problem is, though, he's just staring them down. Staring them down, staring them down, staring them down. If you get other people involved in the offense, we're going to have more success because guys are, you know, not going to be guessing as often. It kind of reminds me a few years ago when, you know, it was Jimmy G. And literally teams were just like, it's either going to go to Devontae Adams or it's not going to go to, like, anyone. And it was the Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers show on offense, and that's the only place, you know, that we could beat anybody. And when teams know what you're going to do, or when teams know, like, that ball's not going to go to Jack Besh, that ball's not going to go to Dante Thornton, teams know that, and teams think that right now. And, you know, I'm even a little bit depressed about why wasn't Trey Tucker involved a little bit more? Like how the hell does Trey Tucker have the game that he does, and he doesn't really get involved in the game all that much? Like, maybe that's a Geno thing. Maybe it's a Pete thing. Maybe it's a Chip Kelly thing. But right now, there's a lot of growing pains to this Raiders team. And there's a lot of growing pains on that offense. Let's go to Juice Wayne. What up, Juice? The Raiders may not always show up for us, but we'll show up for you, brother. Juice, I appreciate that. And again, like, I'm always going to show up for you guys, right? Like, I got home last night. Chuck didn't know the Raiders lost, so that was good. He loved me the exact same. Alex was like, I'm really sorry, you know, the Raiders lost. Watching that Sunday night football game, like, that was a lot of fun to be able to watch that game, though. It ended in a tie. Chugs, I'm sure, is going to be hyped about that later on today. But, like, I was here at 7:30 in the morning. Lopez was here 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to leave work today until 1 a.m. And I'm not saying all that because I want people to feel bad for me. No, like, I want young people out there that are sitting at home. And I know this. When the Raiders lose, there's a lot of people that think that they could do my job. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of people that can do my job. And I know there's a lot of people that can do my job. But what I want Raider fans to honestly think about, and what I want young people that are, like, trying to do this for a career, it's like, can you show up every single day? Like, anybody can make content. But, like, to me, are you going to be able to show up every single day? Because what I look at when I think about making this YouTube show and I think about doing this channel is I think about it the same way that I do my family, right? Like, if I can't rely on you I'm not going to trust you. And I think the reason why this show has grown and the reason why it's the number one most watched Raiders show in the world for the last 7 years is because you guys can count on me. And I do believe that I can count on all of y'all. It's just there's always like that fear in the back of my mind that goes, is this going to be the year? Raider Nation just goes, F it. I can't take the losing anymore. And, like, I don't blame certain people for having that mindset. But to all my OGs, to all my real ones, to like the people that do truly not even just appreciate the show, to the people that appreciate me as a human being, I hope that you show up every single time I go live. I hope that you watch the videos that I do because it does help me out. It helps this show grow, and I want to always try to, take it to the next level. Because taking it to the next level can only mean good things for you, can only mean good things for us here as well. So, Juice Wayne, appreciate you, dog. Let's go to Richie Rich. Richie Rich from LV, dude. I think that this is, was this a 5? Yep, it's just a different color. So I got you in the Ashton Genty raffle. Friendly reminder, today's deals here, and again, we're getting a lot of new people that are pulling up today. Also, Colton Miller, he is getting an MRI, and he has suffered, it's believed, a high ankle sprain. I've reached out to a few people. I'm still trying to get, some more information just in what the overall injury is, but as soon as we get more and more information, I will do my best. Also, there's a lot of interesting info on that blocked field goal. Bears cornerback said that he picked up on a hitch that Jacob Bobenmoyer did and knew that he could time up the snap. So clearly Jacob Bobenmoyer is doing something that teams can learn on. But here was the news that happened a little bit earlier on today. Ian Rappaport reported that Colton Miller is believed to have a high ankle sprain. He's going to have an MRI. I think what you're looking at here, though, is I think this is going to be a 6 to 8 week injury for Colton Miller. And that sucks to say, but I'll give you more information why I believe it's 6 to 8, but it's not good, man. It's not good. Hopefully y'all show some love to Colton down below. Give me some 74s. So if you don't know what our deals here on today's program are, if you want to get up on the channel, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. I'll tell you this, Super Chat guarantees that you get on. Hashtag Raiders, you might have to wait in line. There's a chance that you don't get on the program, and it's just because if we got Supers, we're going to put them at the front. Just think of it as like Disney Fast Pass. We're giving away this Ashton Genty signed helmet tomorrow, and after the game that he had, I'm really excited about it. If you want a chance to win it, every $5 Super Chat that you send in, you get 2 Genty raffle tickets. If you want a chance to put some money in your pocket, $10 Venmo, Mitchell Renz 365. The best deal that I have to offer for you today, every $20 Super Chat, you're going to get 10 raffle tickets to win this Genty helmet. Obviously, if you bang, nobody's banged yet today. Banging is always a clear indication to me, that, and I get it, $100 is a lot of money. But I think it's also a clear indication that you ride and die with me. And, those are the people that I remember the most. And, of course, I do. Why? Because those are the people that I say. Those are the people that we react to. And, like, if you're ever sitting at home and you're like, I want Mitch to know what I'm thinking, a bang is going to be the way to do it. And that's just me being 100% transparent with y'all. So here are the duck race rules today. It is a $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. The last time that I checked to see where we were at, it was 10 to win $30 as it stands right now. I did just see Richard Moreno decided to get it in, which means now it's 10 to win $35 here on today's program. And I do $10 duck races on Monday. Just, I think this gives more people the opportunity to get in. $10 compared to 20. Obviously, it's double the money, but, to me, I want everybody to be able to participate in the show. And I hope that more people decide to participate in the show, especially if the Raiders keep losing. To the 534 people that are watching right now, shout out to all of y'all for being diehard Raiders fans. And if you haven't, hit that like button. It does help us out a lot. Shout out to the mods too, guys. You guys are always killing it here. Jersey Boy, what's up, dude? Getting Sellers and Chris Brazel on the draft would be nice. I mean, Brazel's makes me think of another website that I always delete my history for. Alex, don't watch this show. Also, stealing Braden Smith away from Indy during free agency would help the line. I mean, we're going to have to spend money. Luckily for the Raiders, we have money that we can spend in free agency. Will John Spytek and will this regime do it? I don't flipping know because they're clearly showing me that they're being a really cheap organization right now. But for Sellers, I think Sellers and Ashton Genty would be a dynamic duo. But also at the exact same time, like, again, people are talking over and over and over and over again about these quarterbacks, drafting them in round one. I don't hate the idea, but to me, adding a offensive lineman, adding a true round one offensive lineman, I think is what we have to do. Because if we don't win in the trenches, it's going to be really frustrating. And watching that game that we did yesterday with Ashton Genty, rushing for 240 yards and losing is heartbreaking. Rushing for 240 yards and knowing that it's the most rushing yards ever in a Raiders loss is heartbreaking. But to me, you saw that Genty's got that juice. And if you can find him an offensive line, and then that's going to help out a young quarterback. Like me, I think drafting a young quarterback, putting him behind a bad offensive line is not a way that you develop a young quarterback. The way that I would want to develop a young quarterback is going out, building an unbelievable offensive line, having a running back like Ashton Genty, a tight end like Brock Bowers, and then you find that young quarterback. I just think that young quarterback's going to happen in the year 2027. Geno Smith's contract proves that to me. I literally think Geno's going to be your quarterback this year and next season, probably almost no matter what, because that's how Pete thinks. And then in 2027, they're going to look for their guy, and hopefully by that time we have an offensive line. Brock Bowers just got an extension. Max is still a happy camper, but the offensive line is there, and Ashton Genty's there as well, and we're ready to keep moving forward with Chip Kelly. That's the hope, right? Let's keep it moving here, though. My guy, Noah Suavemente. Bang! Suave! Suave, suave, suave. It's always love, Mitch. Noah, I really appreciate that, dude. And are you going to be here for Monday Night Football tonight? Because the guys, I want to do some craziness for Monday Night Football tonight. And I was hoping that I was going to be able to FaceTime some Raiders fans that, maybe on Mondays would be willing to take down some beers from me on Monday Night Football. So if you're a Raiders fan and you're like, you know what, Mitch, I would love to take down a beer with you. I would love to shotgun something. I don't care what. If you're over the age 21, be ready to rock and roll tonight for Monday Night Football because Monday Night Football is going to be electric. Also, that one that you have in preview, that's from yesterday.
Yeah, it reset itself.
Oh, okay, I got you. I didn't know if you knew or not. Noah, you're the first one, though, Noah. If you want a beer bong on tonight's show, if you want to do a shot, if you just want to FaceTime and scream Raiders at the top of your lungs or whatever you want to do, I hope that you're watching us Monday night. I'm keeping you in my back of my mind. Oh, Devin, I hear you. What up, Darian? Mitch, what a way to lose a game. But real ones know win, lose with Geno until the year ends. I'm glad Genty got his confidence back. Still JPJ to center. Who do we get to replace Miller at left tackle? Because Forsythe ain't it. And, Darian, this is going to be actually one of the topics that I discuss here on today's program. And I have two segments that I want to be able to do. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail on what offensive lines I want to see in regards to, moving on from Colton Miller. But, we could still show it. Do you have those? It's the player fives, the three offensive lines that we could go with.
Yeah,
So, again, I got a segment coming up here, guys, and I planned on going to it once all the Super Chats went through, and that's what I plan on doing. But in my mind, Darian, to me, here are going to be the three offensive line options that you have. This is going to be the offensive line option that I think that the Raiders are going to go with because when Miller went down, Stone, he went out there and played left tackle, and that's really the only change. And here's the thing. I 100% agree with you. That's not the offensive line that I would want to go with. The offensive line option number 2 here might be one that I would consider. The Raiders drafted Charles Grant in the 3rd round. Here's the problem. Based on the people that I've talked to, Charles Grant is nowhere near ready to start in the NFL, and that's why he's been a healthy and active. They want to be able to use him as a developmental piece. That could be an option. Here's the crazy option. And I wonder if, you're trying to protect your quarterback's blind side. That's the most important option. Do they decide to kick DJ Glaze over to the left tackle And because I have zero confidence in Stone Forsythe, and because this organization seems to like Alex Kappa, out of the interior offensive lineman, who's the one that can play right tackle? Maybe it's Dylan Parham. He did it at Memphis. That helps then Alex Kappa get to right guard. You put JPJ at left guard, and then you keep Jordan Meredith at center. What's crazy is, though, out of all of those offensive line options, none of them would be the one that I would go with, right? Like, the offensive line option I would go with would be, in all honesty, I would rather ride and die with Charles Grant at left tackle. If it was up to me, it would be Charles Grant at left tackle. Left guard, I would put Jordan Meredith there. Center would be JPJ. Right guard would be Dylan Parham. Right tackle would be DJ Glaze. That would be the offensive line I would go with personally. But I just don't think that that's going to be the offensive line that the Raiders decide to go with. And you're right. This is going to be a year that we ride with Geno Smith. And I know that the Raiders are going to continuously ride with Geno. And it would have to take several, and I actually mean this, several more poor performances from Smith to where it gets to a point that it would be like, okay, now we're going to bench him. Because Pete, like, that's Pete's guy. And if Pete's proven anything to me, he's going to ride and die with his guys. So, but Stone, if Stone's out there at tackle, Geno's going to get tackled a lot. Let's go to Bajome. Love this channel. Win, lose, I'm here. JPJ and Jacoby better not get traded. Geno has to be better, but it just makes me remember 2016 and 2021 Derek Carr. Yeah, I mean, the 2021 Derek Carr is probably one of the more underappreciated Raiders years just because of all the shit that happened that season. I believe off the top of my head, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Like, you know, I was down so bad yesterday, like, that I was sitting up here going, I miss Derek Carr. And I don't miss Derek Carr, the quarterback. I miss average quarterback play. Like average quarterback play right now with the Raiders, we're 2-2. And do I still think like Geno Smith is better than Derek Carr? Yes and no. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's a yes and no. But the way Geno Smith has played, he's nowhere near as good as what Derek Carr was with the Raiders. Right? Like, I'm still basing off my thought of Geno of what I saw before this season. And that's kind of the hard thing to balance because Geno Smith has been terrible. Gardner Minshew is terrible. Aiden O'Connell is a below average, backup quarterback. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, terrible. Like, it's just been a very underwhelming quarterback group, a below average quarterback group since DC has left. And that's what I've missed. I miss having an average quarterback. Do I still stand on moving on from Derek? Yes, because I knew Derek was never going to win anything major with this Raiders team. I hate saying that because DC's been saying nothing but kind words about this Raiders organization. I hate saying that because I honestly love and respect Derek Carr a lot. There's never been another player that has helped this show grow more, and I know that might surprise some people, but I do. Like, I truly, truly respect Derek Carr. And I miss DC, though, because I miss average quarterback play. And the Raiders haven't had average quarterback play in a very, very long time. And that's just the truth. I mean, VT Holmes saying Derek Carr never lost us games. VT, come on, bro. Playboy, I think Spytek is a horrible GM and only 2 draft picks start. That's concerning. Playboy, I'm not going to agree that Spytek's a horrible GM, but I do think right now, if you're a Raiders fan, you have to be unbelievably concerned about where this Raiders team is at and where this Raiders team is going because, you go back and you look at why the Raiders have been so bad for so long, and I'm more speaking just here in the last 5, 6 to 7 years. It's because the Raiders didn't know how to draft, right? Like, John Gruden can say all the right things, and he's great for TV, he's great for media, but at the end of the day, John Gruden was a bad head coach, and he was a bad talent evaluator. And that's why the Raiders have been so bad because all of our picks that we had for so many years, they didn't really turn out to be anything. Yeah, we found some late-round gems, no doubt about it, but we failed in the draft. And right now, you look at this Raiders draft class, and I don't know how you don't say it's one of the biggest failures out of a lot of Raiders draft classes. And I say that because you drafted Ashton Genty. I think that he's the right pick. Jack Besh making no impact this season. Darian Porter making no impact this season. Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant making no impact this season. Dante Thornton Jr. is out on the field, but he's made, I would say, a few big plays. That one sliding catch week 1, we got to be able to give him his flowers there. That was a big reason why we ended up winning that game. But, Tonka Hemingway literally hasn't even been playing. No impact. J.J. Pegues, no impact. Cam Miller, practice squad. Tommy Mellott, not even on the team anymore. Cody Lindenberg, no impact, right? Like, we drafted 11 players. Not even all 11 of those guys are on this roster. And my concern is, are we going to try to develop those players, or are we, like, my concern right now is if I say, like, I don't know if this Raiders team knows their players well enough, well, I'm saying that now. But I also don't know if we're going to be able to develop those players because you haven't shown me the ability that the rosters on our team or the players on our roster to be able to build them for the future. I mean, I said something during the offseason that I think John Spytek and I have very similar thought processes. I know John, and I know how he thinks. And this team that the Raiders have on the field, how can I say this? I have had conversations with Spytek, okay? And none of the conversations that I've had have anything to do with football, so let me be very clear on that. But the conversations that I've had with people that know Spytek, that have had football conversations with Spytek, the team that he talked about building looks completely different than the team that we have right now. And Spytek believes building in the trenches. Spytek believes in, being a tough football team. That's just not the Raiders. That's just not the Raiders right now. They are a very weak team. They are a very soft team. Yes, I think we can grow from that Week 4 loss to the Bears because I'm proud of what I saw from the Raiders in Week 4. Because, again, you showed improvement on offense, defense, and special teams. You showed all those improvements. The reason why you lost the game, because your quarterback can't stop turning the ball over. Let's go to Drew. What's up, brother? I've asked you this before, but now that we've seen 4 games of Geno, who throws picks every game so far, but not now? What do you think quarterback plan should be? No, he technically hasn't thrown picks every game. He didn't throw a pick last week, but no, it's the quarterback plan's got to be Geno, and it's gonna be Geno. And I know my overreaction Monday topic today was all around, all around. What should the Raiders do? Should they bench Geno? Should they do it? And that's what Overreaction Monday's about, right? Like, I want these Monday shows to be, emotional after the games. Let's sit back. Let's digest it. Let's think about it. And, Drew, I know I'm not the only Raiders fan that's probably thinking this. Let me know if you feel the exact same way. Y for yes, N for no. But I said it earlier, Monday show's got to be when you and your significant other or kids, whoever, you and somebody that you care about, when you get into an argument, when you get into a fight, sometimes you say things that you don't mean, right? And after a Raiders loss, it's emotional. We're all emotional. And instead of me, going on tangents and rants late at night, Monday morning, Monday here, I want to be able to sit up here and go, all right, let's talk about it. And let's do it from, a clear state of mind. And I think when people have a clear mind, they do truly look here and they go, it sucks to be 1-3. Geno Smith has played bad enough to get benched. He's played bad enough where he doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback. He's played bad enough to have to compete for his job. But I don't think anybody here thinks that Kenny Pickett is a better option than Geno Smith. I'm sure. I mean, there are people. There's definitely people here that think Kenny Pickett's a better option. There's people here that think Aiden O'Connell and Cam Miller are better options than Geno Smith. But does anybody here truly, truly think that Geno Smith doesn't give us the best chance to win at quarterback? I think that he clearly gives us the best chance to win a quarterback. But I also think that when players play bad, the ability or possibility to get benched has to be there. If Geno comes out this next game and he throws another 3 interceptions, you have to put him on the bench for that game. I'm not saying you bench him for the entire season, but if you're going to have this compete mentality, and if other players on your team have the ability to get benched, I don't give a shit if he's wearing a C on his chest or not, because he's wearing that C on his chest because of Carroll. And if anything, that C should mean Carroll, because he hasn't done anything for the Raiders. And that's a fact. He has not done anything for the Las Vegas Raiders. I want him to be a captain. I want him to be a leader. There's a lot of players that believe in Geno Smith, and I know this. If the Raiders bench Geno, the uproar from that locker room, I don't think people realize how bad it would be. Like, I mean it. Like, if the Raiders bench if the Raiders bench Geno Smith, the roar from players would be loud. There would be players that would give up. And there would be players that think, all right, if the Raiders are going to give up, I'm not going to try either. Like, that's how bad it would be. So, again, like, I know fans are frustrated, but there's also the player element. And if Raiders fans want the players to give up, then you should bench Geno Smith. Let's go to KL Raider. What's up, baby? What is going to take to admit this Vegas experiment has already failed? No home field advantage is an embarrassment. More money doesn't equal wins. Well, I mean, that's kind of the issue here, right? We're battling Mark Davis's pocketbook because Mark Davis would say the move to Las Vegas clearly worked because he went from being a owner of a football team worth $500 million to now an owner of a football team worth about $6 to $7 billion. So, like, I don't disagree the home field advantage, the football aspect of moving to Vegas, but the other part of it is, you know, Mark tried to get a new stadium. Mark tried to do a lot of things in Oakland. He tried to do a lot of things in California. California wouldn't let him do it. Las Vegas said, Mark, whatever you want, we'll do. Right? Like, I don't blame Mark for moving to Las Vegas. I also know that a lot of players didn't like playing in Oakland. Like, you know, I'm not going to tell you who it was, but I sat down with a player, met him, I met his family, and, you know, they talked about how much they didn't want to play in Oakland and how it wasn't a matter of, like, literally playing in Oakland. It was raising a family, bringing, you know, your kids out there. Like, there was just a lot of players that didn't like that area. And that was something that I heard time and time again from a lot of players, a lot of families, quite frankly. And, you know, if you're a millionaire, if you're an NFL football player and you have the ability to pick where you want to go, if your wife looks at you and goes, I don't want to go there, that's not a place I want to go. Not every player is going to have that decision, but players that sign those big checks, players that realize that, hey, I can make more money in Las Vegas compared to Oakland, I do think that stuff matters. In terms of the home field advantage, you're completely right. And until Mark Davis lowers the ticket prices, it's not going to change. Fans are going to continuously go to Allegiant Stadium because every single fan, and you know, ask your significant other if they're not a Raiders fan, if you could look at any game on a schedule that you want to go travel to, am I going to pick Cleveland, Ohio, or am I going to go to Las Vegas? Am I going to pick Indianapolis, or am I going to pick Las Vegas? Am I going to pick Baltimore, or am I going to pick Las Vegas? Cincinnati, I'm making a lot of points here, but the reason why also it's because teams want to go to Las Vegas. Families want to go to Las Vegas. Opposing teams want to go to Las Vegas. That's why the prices are up there. And it's tough, man. It's tough. Let's go to a Sanchez, just one of them. The more I see it, the more I think that we should have ran a quarterback draw on 3rd down and 2 after 74 went down. I'll say this. I don't know if quarterback draw would have been the play that I would have ran. I don't think, if it was up to me, the only place I would not have ran the football is directly up the middle. And that's what the Raiders did. Like, I think the play call that they ran on that 3rd down and 2 to try to not get extra yardage, it just shows that Chip Kelly, you know, like, he called such a great game. He did. He called a great game yesterday. That play call, though, one that rubs me the wrong way. Why? Because you're essentially settling for a 54-yard field goal. You're not trying to pick up that 1st down and continue to go and keep that clock moving, because if you pick up that 1st down, you get closer, more and more time drains off that clock. That 3rd down and 2 call was almost as bad as when they went for it on 4th down and 1 on their own side of the field, and Jordan Meredith literally decided to block nobody, and Genty gets blown up. He fumbles. The fumble's 100% not on Genty, but, like, those are 2 play calls that you sit back and you go, if that would have changed, you know, it would have been a lot different football game, no doubt about it. But, like, the Bears also pissed away a lot of opportunities. Could you imagine the Shedeur fans now if he was on the Raiders? I'm glad we passed. I mean, the amount of people that still want the Raiders to trade for Shedeur Sanders is pretty wild. And, you know, like, that's exactly why the Raiders didn't draft him. The Raiders didn't draft Shedeur Sanders for a bunch of reasons. And, you know, I hate kind of talking about this over and over and over again because I think people think that I don't like Shedeur. I have nothing against Shedeur Sanders. Quite frankly, if you were to ask me what's the number one thing that I think would help the Raiders Report YouTube channel, the number one thing that would help me be able to put a down payment on a home, the number one thing that would be able to help me put food on a table, the number one thing that would be able to help me keep a roof over my head. Like, win, lose, or tie, it's going out and getting Shedeur Sanders. Like, I know that for a fact. But Tom Brady and the Raiders didn't want to draft him. They were worried about his character concerns. They were worried about his leadership. They also weren't impressed by his ability to be an NFL quarterback. All of those things are true. Tom Brady mentored him. They also, though, wanted the fans to be behind Geno Smith. They didn't think Geno was going to play this bad, but they want you to buy into Geno Smith, which is a hard thing to sell right now, and I get that. But I think also, like, the Raiders traded for a Browns quarterback. Like, if they wanted to go out and trade for Shedeur, they could have already done it. They decided to go out and get Kenny Pickett. They valued Kenny Pickett more than Shedeur Sanders. So, like, I know Shedeur's got the name, and I know people are going to talk about him, but I think if you want the Raiders to trade for Shedeur Sanders, you can want it. You're absolutely allowed to want it. I don't blame people for wanting to want it because of how bad Geno's played. But I think also, you're wanting things that simply are just never going to happen. Let's go to Jason Howard. What up, man? Hey, buddy. Bears fan here. Oh, boy. I got much love for diehard fans. All of us have gone through it in our franchises, need lots of help. Let's get both of our teams improved sooner rather than later. Much love. And, Jason, I respect this a lot. I think our guy Harrison Graham does a phenomenal job over on Bears Now. And, I think like Bears fans and Raiders fans are very similar. Like, they are diehard fans that at the end of the day just want a good football team. They just want a team that they feel like matches the energy that fan base brings. And, I had the opportunity a few years ago to go to a Chicago Bears game. It was Bears-Packers. It was at Soldier Field. It was, I'm trying to think who the frick was the quarterback for the Bears at that time. It was a December game, and it was like 50 degrees. And I remember because I wore a coat, and everybody was like, oh, bro, you're clearly not from Chicago, are you? And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not from Chicago. But, you guys were battling with us yesterday in our tailgate battle. I think also, like, the community that Harrison has been able to build over there is very similar to the community that we've been able to build here on the Raiders Report, and where it's more about, like, having each other's back, being there for family, and, like, I mean it, I mean it. I will always ride or die with Raider Nation, just the way I'm saying that you're going to ride with us, but I think this is a huge testament to your character, and I think it's a huge testament to why Bears fans are super well respected around here at Chat Sports. So, Jason, I appreciate that, dog. Let's go to 6 New Gen. What up, brother? I don't know how this got through. F all the negative. You're my number one fan. Please just don't give up on us. I mean, I'm never going to go away, right? Like, there's a lot of people that hate, and I think a lot of times people hate because I think there's an underlying jealousy of what I do, and I get it, right? Like, I get to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders every single day, and there's a lot of people that want to be able to do that. I'll always say it, like, you guys can do it, right? Like, I'll say this, though. You better be able to outwork me. Like, you better be able to get out more content than me. You better be able to do it, because if not, I'm going to run laps around you. And right now, I know there's a lot of people that try to get in this thing, but here's the thing. I'm going to run laps around you because I know I'm not always going to be right. I know I'm not the smartest guy. I know I'm not the best looking. I know I'm not the funniest. I know that we don't have some of maybe the other graphics that places like ESPN, NFL, all these other places have. But guess what? There's not a person on this planet that makes more Raiders content, that knows this team better than I do, and I will stand 10 toes on that. But one day you're going to need an autograph. Anybody that's ever met me in person, if you want an autograph, I give one. I do feel weird at times giving it out, and it's not because I have a problem signing. I've signed a lot of stuff in my day. There's the times where I'm surprised that people want it, and I get it. Like, I can remember me listening to the Fantasy Footballers many, many years ago, and I used to listen to those guys every single day. They're a big part of, why I do what I do. And I know that you can build relationships with people that, you never been able to meet. And when I meet people in person, people are always like, oh, man, like, I'm surprised you're so laid back. Or, oh, like, I don't know. Like, I'm still surprised that people look at me the way that they do. But I want people to look at me like the way that you look at any Raiders fan, right? Like, I'm a normal dude. I wake up in the morning. I look over. I see my wife, and as soon as I wake up, Chuck is literally right here in my dome, licking my face like, bro, let's go outside. Let's go on this walk. And I will never give up on Raider Nation. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. I will never give up on Raider Nation. The only way, and this is me being honest, The only way that I don't do this show is if ESPN, if some other place says, hey, I'm going to pay you a boatload of money to do what you're doing and do it for us. But here's the thing. I would still want to be able to do some sort of Raiders content. In terms of autographs, I would say, if people want an autograph, I don't know what it would be. Maybe it's something that I'll think about. But I can start giving away some more stuff with some autographs on it. I got you. Usually, though, it goes to MVPs of shows, which right now, you've been the MVP of the show. Let's go to Aiden. Actually, Noah has because he banged. What up, Aiden? Worst case scenario, if we go 3-14 or 4-13, Christ. What are the odds Pete gets fired? 0. We could win one game this season. Pete Carroll will not get fired. And, there were certain things, and I can't go into certain things that I know that have been said, but I promise this to any Raider fan watching the show. Pete Carroll, 0% chance he gets fired this year. Pete Carroll next year, 0% chance he gets fired. They might not win. They could not win another game this year, and they could not win another game next season. Pete Carroll will not get fired. And I don't think it's 100% fair because I do think that this is a league, this is a game where you have to be able to show results. And I think one of the reasons why the Raiders are doing what they're doing with draft picks is because they know no matter what, they're going to be back. And they know no matter what that John Spytek and Pete Carroll's jobs, they're going to be safe for the next 2 to 3 years. And again, I can't tell you how I know it exactly. I can't tell you who told me it, but the person that said the things that I'm essentially reiterating here is the guy that owns the team. And I'm not saying he said, quote, what I just said, but I know for a fact it's not going to happen. What are your thoughts on quarterback Dante Moore from Oregon? Loved what I saw from him. Again, I'm a Penn State fan, so I watched that whiteout game. I've been at Happy Valley during a whiteout game. It's the closest thing that I compare to being in the black hole at Oakland. Like, to me, the two greatest gaming experience I've ever been in, Monday Night Football, Black Hole 2019, the FAB game, Raiders beat the Denver Broncos. Like, that game was amazing. The final game in Oakland, too, was amazing for different reasons from that emotional standpoint. F. Gardner Minshew. But, like, that Happy Valley experience was incredible. My point is, when you look at Dante Moore, you can learn. He's learning. He's getting better. He's able to extend plays. But what I saw from him was cool, calm, collected. He was never phased in that game. And that is something that I look at a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, because he's learning a new offense. He's got to be the starter. He's taken over for Dylan Gabriel, and I don't think Dylan Gabriel's the best NFL quarterback. But from a college standpoint, Dylan Gabriel's one of the best college quarterbacks statistically of all time, right? I mean, he's got a lot of starts underneath his belt. But Dante Moore's got it up here, and it's so clear to me because I love quarterbacks that are cool, calm, and collected because in the biggest situations, and you look at that Penn State-Oregon game, in the biggest situations, when your quarterback is cool, calm, and collected and can make the play, you're going to have success. The reason why I don't like Drew Aller, he's got all the talent in the world. He shits bricks, and he looks like he sees ghosts all the time. Let's go to Los Oakland. What's up, my brother? Honestly, Max deserves better. It's just sad to see him not being with a winning team. Like, he needs help from the left side. He needs help on defense, no doubt about it. But we also need to be able to get a team together that can help us win. Do I feel bad for Max? Yes and no. Like, to me, Max is getting paid $35 million per year. Max is going to make more money. Max is going to make more money this month than I have, my entire life, and it's not close. Max Crosby makes more money in 1 week than I make an entire year. And I know this. I bust my hump just as hard as I think Max Crosby does. I don't think that there's many people that can say that, and I'm not afraid to say it. I think I put in just as much time and as much hours as Max Crosby does. So do I think Max deserves better? Sure. But I think Raider Nation deserves better way more than Max Crosby deserves better. I'm never going to put a player above the shield, and I know Max and what he represents. I think he is the epitome of what being a true Raider is all about, right? If I had a kid right now, I would show him Max Crosby tape. Why? Because that guy hustles. That guy's relentless. And there's a reason why he's one of the best on the planet. There's a reason why Caleb Williams said that I thought he's the best player that he's ever gone up against. But at the exact same time, I'm not going to trade him away just because he deserves better. This is a business. This is the NFL. Like, we're not just going to give guys away so he can go win for another team. No, he's getting paid to be one of the best players in the NFL. His contract resembles that. So I feel bad because I know he wants to win. But I feel way worse for Raider Nation than I do Max Crosby. And it's not even close. What up, Blake? What do you think about Genty's future with the Raiders? Is he here to stay? Does it depend on whatever we win or not? Fingers crossed for the helmet. Fingers crossed. Good luck to you. Genty's going to be here. And when you draft a running back at number 6 overall, a lot of times it's not really so much to do with the running back. It's more like where you're at as a team. And, typically when you draft a running back this high, it's because you got other pieces around him and you're ready to win right now. The Raiders are not a team that's ready to win right now. But in my personal opinion, there's no way you're moving on from him. Like, he's going to be on this team, no doubt, for 4 to 5 years. No doubt for 4 to 5 years. Blake, appreciate the Superman. To the 535 people that are watching this thing right now, we are still trying to get through, and we got a lot of super chats to be able to catch up on. If you don't know the deals that we got here today, here are the deals that we got. $5 to Genty raffle tickets. We're giving away this helmet tomorrow, so be ready to get the winner. $10 Venmo. If you want to get in the duck race, I'll give some shout-outs here to the people that are in that. I think the best deal of the day is right here, $20. You get 10 Genty raffle tickets. Put in a question as well. I'll spend more time on it. We've only had one bang, and it's from my guy Noah Suavemente. Noah, seriously, dude, those are going to be the names that I remember, and it's me just being 100% honest with you. Those are the names that I remember. So I'm refreshing my phone right now, and I'm looking to see who is in our duck race. I see a few extra people that are getting it in. Jeff Ramey, I see you in. I see Corey Fitness in. And then I see Darth Fatass in. And then I just saw Rudy Mendez. I saw your 5, Rudy. So, Rudy, I got you in on the Aston Genty helmet. So, right now, as it stands, it is a $10 Venmo. You would go home with $50 here on the Raiders Report. Let's keep going through these super chats. And the way that Monday show is going to work is this. As long as we got questions coming in, I'm going to keep hitting those supers. As soon as we don't have any more supers, I will get into the very first segment here on today's live show, which is going to be around Colton Miller and some injury news that, quite frankly, we need to be able to discuss on them.
Quick question.
What do you got for me?
$10 supers. How many tickets are those? Or are those just
$10 we'll do 2. Okay. That's fine. 2.
Just wanted to know.
Yep, you're good. What up, Chris? Come on, Brady. Get your old ass in there. We need to win this year. That would be one of the biggest, greatest storylines of all time. To me, though, what I think Tom Brady needs to do is Tom Brady needs to go into that room with all those players and go, back in 2001, I was a part of a team that was 1-3. Nobody gave us a chance. I wasn't even the starting quarterback of that roster at the time. But you know what? We kept fighting. We kept believing. And they ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. I don't want to get into the details of that Super Bowl winning team. Obviously, we know what year that was, but I really, truly believe that the season is far from over. And I say that because of what the landscape of the AFC is. Lopez, do you have your mic on?
I do not. I don't know what button it is.
Okay, don't worry about it then. So I'm going to read off some teams here, okay? We got to be able to find 7 teams that make the playoffs in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills are going to make the playoffs. I don't think the Patriots, the Jets, or the Dolphins are going to be playoff caliber teams. So that's one team out of the AFC East. Let's go to the AFC West here. I think the Chargers are going to get in. Hate to say it, Chiefs are probably going to be able to get in. I don't think the Broncos are going to be good enough. And I don't think right now the Raiders are going to be good enough. So right now we got 3 teams. Let's go to the AFC North. Let's just go with the team that's in first place, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we'll give them number 4. However, if history proves itself, Mike Tomlin really struggles in November and December recently. The Bengals without Joe Burrow, I don't think are good enough. The Ravens right now are 1-3. Lamar Jackson's got a hammy issue. Do we think that team, the Ravens, are good enough? I think the Ravens are going to be able to figure it out. So let's say we got 5 teams in the playoffs. The Browns, I don't think that they're good enough. So then let's look at the AFC South here. Do we think the Indianapolis Colts are good enough? They're 3-1. Cool. Let's give them a nod. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 3-1. Cool. Let's give them a nod. The Texans, the Titans, the way that those two teams have played, I don't think are playoff caliber teams. My point is, I just went through and we found 7-ish teams. 7-ish teams. Right now, the AFC is very, very wide open. And if the Raiders are able to figure it out, and if the Raiders are able to just get their quarterback situation going, because you showed improvement on offense, on the offensive line. You showed improvement on defense. You showed improvement on special teams. Yesterday's loss was so heartbreaking because the Raiders showed improvements in every aspect of the game. Every aspect of the game, they showed improvements. But your quarterback couldn't stop turning the ball over. If Geno doesn't turn the ball over, the Raiders win that game easily. Honestly, I think they win that game easily. And that's why I have faith, because if Carlson knocks through that field goal, and I get it, a lot of ifs here. Carlson knocks through that field goal, we're a 2-2 football team, and we're feeling really damn good. Right now, we're 1-3, and we're about to go on the road to the 3-1 Colts. At the beginning of the season, I would have said that the Titans and the Colts are 2 games that we should win. And if we can get back to being 3-3 before we play the Kansas City Chiefs, being 3-4, I think if you would ask a lot of Raiders fans, can we be 3-4 by the time we hit our bye? I think a lot of Raiders fans would have signed up for that. Now, again, you got to beat Indy. It's not going to be an easy game. But I do think if Geno Smith cleans it up, we have been able to show from a defensive standpoint that we can win any 3 of these games. Just Geno Smith's got to clean it up. And I don't know if it's going to be able to happen, but to me, I'm a lot less concerned now than I was before, because I think it's a lot easier to fix one quarterback issue. I say that after all the quarterback issues we've had, but it's easier in my mind to fix a quarterback issue than it is to be able to fix special teams, offensive line, running game, and all these other issues on top of it. Hopefully that answers your question. Though, I think you're just making a statement. Suave! He's going to throw one up! Let me help someone who wants to show you love with this alley. Noah Suavemente, brother. The MVP of today's show. Noah, I don't know if anyone's going to throw it down, but if anybody throws it down, here's my deal. I said I would give away 50 raffles to anybody that bangs. If you got Noah's back and you throw one down here, I'm going to give Noah 25 and I'm going to give you 25 raffle tickets. Sounds pretty good to me. Suave, you're a legend, bro. John Rodriguez, Mitch, what time did you start? Every single Monday, I go live 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Every Monday. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. Think of it as our Raiders Report vent session. Think about it as our Raiders Report vent session. Let's go to Raider Boy 64. Mitch, I'm with you on that. I don't know what you're talking about. I think this came in when I was discussing Geno Smith, but I'm happy you're with me. You're in twice for the Genty. Let's go to Bad Driver. I don't know, Alex, is this you? Our next 5 games: Colts, Titans, Chiefs, Jags, and Broncos. What are the chances we could sneak 3 games, and what do you think the locker room is like? I mean, I have no comment on the locker room. I did reach out to a few players yesterday, and again, these are guys that I've just talked to throughout the years. I have not gotten anything back from any of those guys, and I don't really anticipate that I'm going to get anything back from anybody today. Typically, they'll probably get back to me on a Friday, on a Saturday, a little bit later on in the week, but I think right now the locker room is actually way more better spirits than what people realize, and I think it's because they realized they played a good game yesterday, and I think that they realized that Geno Smith really literally threw it away 3 times. So, I think that the spirits are a lot better because when you watch the game, the tape is so much better for the Raiders yesterday than what it's been. But to me, there's not a game on that list that we can't win. And I mean that. I know the Raiders can beat the Colts, right? I mean, you absolutely can beat the 0-3 Giants. Just beat the 3-1 Chargers, or the 3-0 Chargers at the time. We can beat the Titans, who look like the worst team in the NFL right now. Them and probably the Saints, right? The Chiefs, the Jags, the Broncos. The Chiefs are beatable this season. The Jags, I get it, are 3-1, but we're also coming off after a bye. Maybe we're able to make some corrections there. And the Broncos, that's a short week, Thursday night football game. A lot of times that favors teams that can run the football. Genty showed that he can run the football. There's just so much time left to be had. My bigger concern, though, right now is what is this offensive line going to look like without Colton Miller? That's my number one concern because it's been bad with Colton. It's about to get worse without him. Jersey boy, what's up, brother? Geno is playing like an overpriced Jameis Winston. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, he's just throwing the ball carelessly. He's making bad decisions. He's not seeing the field well, and he's just forcing the issue. He's just clearly forcing bad throws time and time again, and it's hard to believe because that's not the Geno Smith I saw on tape. The Geno Smith on tape this year compared to the Geno Smith on tape the previous few years in Seattle, it's night and day difference, and it's shocking when you see how different it is because I sit back and I'm like, what the hell were we doing all offseason? Like, why does Geno Smith look this bad? And I think it's a Geno Smith problem because Greg Olsen is a phenomenal quarterback coach. I think Chip Kelly is a good X's and O's guy. Pete Carroll has success. John Spytek has success. Like, this is a regime that has a lot of success building quarterback play up, and Geno has just struggled to do it. John, what up, man? I'd prefer Milroe over Shador. I mean, for the Raiders right now, I agree with that statement. I also know that Jalen Milroe is an alien of an athlete, but Shador is a much better passer than what Milroe is. Like, I think a hard offense to stop would be Jalen Milroe at quarterback, Ashton Genty at running back, try to implement something that you've seen like the Philadelphia Eagles doing. You just try to be a really tough, physical freaking football team. Team stack the box, and then you try to take the top off with one-on-ones. And the Raiders have the players to be able to do it, but I mean, Jalen Milroe, I don't think happens. If you want a trade that here's a trade that I think could legitimately happen. The Raiders go out and they try to trade for Tyreek Woolen. Why? Because Reek with Pete Carroll was one of the best cornerbacks. I actually think he should have won Rookie of the Year the year that they drafted him. And Witherspoon from Illinois, he's about, I believe, to come off IR, and he's going to be able to play. And Woolen's really been struggling over the past few weeks. The Raiders, I think, are going to be without Eric Stokes for a little while. He's got a knee issue. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. But if you're telling, I know we're talking about a lot of quarterback moves. I think the number one move that I'm going to keep an eye on is the Raiders going out and trading for Tariq Woolen. Because I think that there is not a better chance of a move happening than that move that I just mentioned. Tariq Woolen, I think, will be a Raider. It's a take, but it's a take that I'm willing to go with. Let's go to Solomon Thomas. What's going on, brother? Reminder, if you haven't already, hit that like button. We got 527 people here, 265 likes. Obviously, that math ain't mathing. If you're just as frustrated as me, hear me out. Hit that like button. It's going to tell my bosses. It's going to tell us that we can continuously do this Monday show. What's up, Mitch? What's your outlook on the rest of the season? How many games can we realistically win? Appreciate everything you do for the nation. Right now, I'm sitting here going, I hope we can get to 7 wins. I hope that we, as the Las Vegas Raiders, can get to 7 wins. And if we can get to 7 wins, I think a lot of people would sit back and go, man, that's a shitty year. But with Pete Carroll, we got to just be able to show growth. And if we're able to show growth, then I am going to be happy that we're getting better and better and better. What we can't afford to be worse than what we were last year. We can't afford to win less than 6 games. Like, that, to me, just can't be into the equation. Because what's crazy is, I think if you're around 7 wins, I think if you're around 8 wins, this season, the way the AFC is shaping up, I actually think that 8 wins, 8-9 record, might be good enough to make the playoffs. Seriously, it might be good enough to make the playoffs. What up, Rainmaker? Chip Kelly is at the top of my shit list. Brock Bowers, 6 targets. Where was Trey Tucker? Every 3rd and short is a run up the middle. That gets stuffed. You know, what's crazy is I actually thought Chip Kelly's best game was this past week, and maybe outside of that game that they had against New England. But, again, Geno also played really well in that game. I don't disagree with you. I don't know how Brock Bowers only had 6 targets. He's also clearly not 100% healthy. That's as clear as to be. But I don't really understand why he's not focused more because, to me, when you get the ball in your playmaker's hands, good stuff happens. the Trey Tucker one, completely agree. I don't know how he has the game that he has, and he's just not a focal point in the offense then. Every third down and run, like to me, I don't want to see any more pistol runs up the middle. I don't want to see any of these clear today runs right behind Jordan Meredith because it doesn't work. I want to see more outside zone runs. I want to see Genty on the edge. That's where we are at our best running the football, and it's clear. Or run behind Jackson Powers-Johnson. Throw the ball to Genty a little bit more. And again, I don't blame people for having Chip Kelly on the shit list. He's on my shit list too. But Geno Smith has got to be the number one guy on your shit list today. Let's go to Search High. The Giants desperate for help. Trade Jacoby for a third. You know, it's funny. I was actually talking to Marshall Green today, and Marsh asked, what would I want for Jacoby Myers? And I said a third-round pick. That was a little bit of a steep price for him, though they're also trying to see what they got in Jackson Dart. I said, would you give me Kayvon Thibodeau for Jacoby Myers straight up? Because I believe that we need more edge help. I think we need more help on the defensive line. Malcolm Kuntz played better yesterday, but also it was against a weak defensive line of the Chicago Bears. If the Raiders, the only reason why the Raiders aren't going to do this is because of Pete Carroll and Pete's love for Geno. If you trade away Jacoby, then what? Because Jack Besh and Dante haven't shown you enough yet. Michael Mayer, you're hoping he's able to come out of concussion protocol. Brock Bowers isn't 100% healthy. Jacoby is Geno's go-to guy. And if you get rid of that safety blanket, then I don't know if you can properly evaluate Geno Smith. And for the Raiders this season, the most important thing that this organization needs to be able to do is to properly evaluate Geno Smith to see if he's the guy or not. Andres, appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much for getting up here on the show. Suave, shout out to you. Raider boy, we are Raiders. Yes, we are. And we are diehard fans that simply deserve more. Dust and Iron. What's up, Dust and Iron? I still think we're going to be competitive. We get a boost to the O-line and secondary and consistent quarterback play. We are a playoff team in a year or two. I don't disagree with it. To me, we clearly have the right running back, and you saw what he can look like with a good offensive line. Boost to the offensive line we need, but our offensive line is about to get worse. Again, we're not going to have Colt Miller. Boost to the secondary. Our secondary is about to get worse. We're not going to have Eric Stokes. We definitely need consistent quarterback play because the quarterback consistency chart for the Raiders, it looks like a roller coaster that would make you want to throw up. And we're not a playoff caliber team now, no doubt about it. But I do think that we can turn into one if the right things happen. The problem is this coaching staff and our, let's call it off-season moves, free agency in the draft, haven't shown me that we are moving in the right direction. And that's concerning. Again, I still believe in Spytech. I still want to believe in Pete Carroll. But it's hard to sit up here and go, I believe in the direction the Raiders are going because of how bad the direction looks right now. Drew, 10-7, Mitch. Wow, what a huge loss here for the Ravens. Listen to this. Nnamdi Matabuke, done for the season. And, that's been a major injury for the Baltimore Ravens. That's been one of the biggest reasons why they've been struggling as much as they have on the defensive side of the football. But being a Raider fan since 2000, witnessing so many 2, 3, 4, 2-win seasons for years, starts to make it feel so much worse. And that's the frustration part. Where I didn't get it at first, the underlying frustration of Raider fans year after year after year. I'm starting to get it a little bit more now. It is so frustrating to feel like we never get anywhere, right? I feel like we take 2 steps forward, but then we take 3 steps back. And it's kind of been that way year after year after year. 10-7 would be crazy. If 10-7 happened, I'll tell you this. I might finally be able to get out of the renting game and might actually be able to put a down payment on a home. I'm still probably 2 years away from that because I know if the Raiders stink, we just don't do as well because people don't watch the show as often. But, dude, 10-7, holy shit, man. 10-7, I can't even imagine. I don't know what I would give up for a 10-7 season this year, but you let me know, and I would do it at this point. Rebel, hangover recovery with the fan base, first segment. Yeah, I saw you yesterday, Reb. I saw you yesterday. You were like, oh, let's get after it. Let's chug some beers. I saw you on IG, and I know there was a lot of people that were just, after that game ended, they were like, all right, I'm done. I'm checking out. I'm leaving for the rest of the day. Noah, if someone throws down the alley, they can have all of my entries. Wow. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Noah, how about this? If somebody throws down Noah's alley-oop, I'm going to give Noah 50 entries, and I'm going to give the guy 50 entries who throws it down. Because this statement right here is what being a real one is all about. Suave, shout out to you, brother. Seriously, shout out to you. Flexus, special teams punt returns wasn't good. You're right. Our special teams department can get better, but let's talk about it like the Trey Tucker, the one play where Trey let the ball bounce and the Raiders got the ball at the 1 yard line, which killed us a little bit of momentum. That's got to be better. We had a lot of costly holding calls, no doubt about it, but also on the kickoff return. There's two, Raheem Mostert compared to Zamir White. I can't imagine why we were playing Zamir White over Raheem Mostert as long as we have, because Mostert was just clearly better. But also, the return that Dylan Laube had on the final possession of the game, where Laube gets all the way out to the 42-yard line, and we need a field goal to win. The fact that Laube got to the 42 and we were unable to win that football game is brutal. Jacoby playing like he didn't get paid too isn't helping us. I don't see that at all. Again, Jacoby has had, some people might say, some drops this year compared to last season. He also didn't drop the ball last year. But I don't see it being an effort problem for Jacoby. And quite frankly, I think it's kind of a lame comment. I'm not calling you lame. I just think it's lame to kind of poke holes at Jacoby for doing everything right this entire offseason, for literally asking to be traded. They say no. He's done everything right this offseason. So I'm not going to poke at Jacoby because, to me, he's doing things the way that I think that things should be done. Let's go to Nate May. You're next up here on the show, which we got 2 more super chats, and then we're going to get into the very first segment here on today's program, which is going to be around, unfortunately, some bad news regarding Colton Miller. To the people that are getting in this duck race, I see a few more people are trying to get it in. I just saw Rudy Mendez. I gotcha, Mr. Mendez. So I see Rashawn English. Mendez, though, you're in for the Genty raffle. Rustin Long. And then Jose Oregon. I see you, and I got you in. Right now it's a $10 Venmo. You would go home with $65 here on the Raiders Report. I'm in the Fanatics Survivor Pool. Would you say the only games I can honestly pick, the Raiders safely would be against the Titans and the Giants? If I win, multiple $500 super chats coming your way. So you're saying, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to take the Raiders in any type of game this season for a survivor pick, it would be against the Titans. I mean, I don't know how you'd feel confident against the Raiders going for the Raiders in any other game. But it's that's nerve-wracking. But if you're asking me what game would I go with the Raiders, Tennessee Titans. And I say that only because of how bad the Titans have been. But we'll see, because they also got a guy named Jeffrey Simmons. And I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to give the Raiders a lot of problems. Let's go to STK Canella. I still say go get a quarterback. Personally for me, Shador. And a cornerback, personally for me, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Just my thoughts. Well, the only reason why I don't think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is a good option is he doesn't play corner. He's more of a nickel. He's kind of going, all over the place. But he had a lot of locker room issues, and he literally quit on the Houston Texans. And that I don't think is a great look. In terms of Shador, again, you're not going to go out and get Shador. I don't think Shador is anywhere close to as good as Geno Smith is right now. That's, again, just my personal opinion. But, they're not going to go out and get a quarterback. If they're going to go out and get a corner, it's going to be Tariq Woolen, cornerback from the Seattle Seahawks. And that's my God-honest opinion. I don't see them, going anywhere else. This is wild. Roshan English. Hey, Mitch, please hook up Noah Suavemente, and I hope we can finish the season strong. Well, here's the thing, Roshan. You just flat out banged. So I still think Noah's deal is out there, but I mean, I think what I love about Raider Nation is y'all's ability to always show you have each other's back. I think it's special, man. I really, really do. I think it is really flippin' special to always see Raider Nation show up, show out for each other. Wild, dude. Wild, wild, wild. And Roshan, I saw that you're in the duck race. Because you just banged, I'm going to give you another entry on the house. Appreciate you. Also, Jose Oregon, I just saw that you got 2 entries in for the duck race, which means right now as it stands, it is 10 to win. 10 to win $75 here on today's program. Steffi Valdez, I see you as well getting in for that Genty helmet raffle on my Venmo. Let's go to Kane Michael B, who, Kane, appreciate you, big dog. You've been a legend in these streets, dude. Seriously, you've been absolutely positively going insane, and I'm happy that, you know, some good energy has come your way. Let's leave it like that. I'm happy that some good vibes have come your way. All right, y'all. We are all caught up on all of the super chats that we've gotten here on today's show. To Roshan English, to Noah Santana, shout out to both of y'all for keeping the good vibes rocking and rolling. What I want to be able to get into next here on the program is I want to talk a little bit about Colton Miller, okay? I want to be able to talk a little bit here about Colton Miller, and if we get any more super chats, I will answer them after this segment that I'm about to do, because I still have 2 segments that I want to get done here in the next hour. I will leave today's live show, and no matter what, I got to be out of here in 66 minutes because I got to get prepared and prepped for our Monday Night Football coverage here, which I will be live on the Raiders Report. If y'all don't know, we will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is technically 15 minutes before the first Monday Night Football game, and then it's an hour 15 for the second Monday Night Football game. Jets-Dolphins is the first. Broncos-Bengals is going to be the second. So just keep that in mind. Roshan, man, getting some love there from Robert Jansen. Artisan, I see ya. Rebel said, can you give us 69 minutes? Rebel, maybe, for you. I might be able to do that. Maybe. All right, y'all. While I'm doing this show, I hope that you guys show love to 74 Colton Miller. Whoever spams 74 the most down below while I'm discussing the latest going on him, we're going to give you some Ashton Genty raffle tickets. I'll have Lopez kind of in the background monitoring it, but whoever spams 74 the most while I talk about this entire segment, I don't know how long it's going to take. Could take 10 minutes. Could take 20 minutes. Could take 15. Could take 30. I don't know. Whoever spams 74 the most throughout the entirety of this segment, we're going to get you in for a chance to win an Ashton Genty signed raffle helmet. You ready?
I'm good.
My guys ready to go. Y'all ready to rock and roll? Coming up here, let's talk about the latest going on around Colton Miller. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, with some, unfortunately, bad news that we thought was going to be coming around Colton Miller. And I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know around number 74. But let's face it, whether it's good news, whether it's bad news, I am always going to be here to give you the Raiders news that you want to know. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. And to everybody out there, I know the Raiders are struggling. I am frustrated too. Please, please, please do not give up on the Raiders Report. Because when you do, it only hurts me, it only hurts Chat Sports, it only hurts everybody here that I rock with. So please, don't give up on us. Keep watching our videos. Let's go to the news that rolled in this morning, and it's coming in from Ian Rappaport. Offensive tackle Colton Miller, who limped off on the team's final drive, is believed to have suffered a high ankle sprain, sources said. He is having an MRI, but that is potentially a multi-week injury. when you hear that a player is dealing with an injury, and when you hear a player is dealing with an injury that they have dealt with before, that's why this is bad news. And quite frankly, it's coming at almost one of the worst possible times. He does mention that Colton Miller limped off. Colton Miller also, though, was carted off the field. And that's why this is bad news. Because to me, when you hear a player that they get carted off, it's concerning, obviously, right? Like when you're watching the NFL, if you're playing fantasy football, whatever you're doing, if you hear the cart is coming out, you're thinking worst case scenario. And for a player that is as big as what Miller is, and I mean big as the position he plays, left tackle, also the injury he sustained. Having ankle injuries, it's a fickle mistress. And I say that only because when you have one ankle injury, sometimes they have an ability to keep on popping up time and time again. But he suffered the right ankle injury. I'm not going to lie. We actually thought it was a shoulder injury because when he was down on the field, it looked like he was holding his shoulder, and there was a lot of concerns around it. Pete Carroll confirmed that he was dealing with a sprained ankle yesterday. Also, there's been multiple reports today that have also confirmed that Colton Miller is dealing with that sprained ankle. Because it's a high ankle sprain, I think you're going to have to anticipate that he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks is what I am going to guess. This could be a situation where the Raiders decide to put Miller on that short-term IR, which means he is out a minimum of 4 games. And I think if you're the Raiders, you don't risk it. And when you think about the upcoming schedule, if you could show the upcoming schedule real quickly here, you think about the Raiders' upcoming schedule. If I'm the silver and black, I'm bringing back Colton Miller at the earliest, week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's if he's dealing with that high ankle sprain, because he's not going to be able to come back quick enough, and you don't want to rush him back too quickly, knowing that you have a bye week in 8. I think the earliest that we see number 74 back out there on the field, week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think the earliest is week 9. It's those past ankle injuries. And, he's never really missed significant time because of the ankle injuries, but he did injure it last season, week 9 up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, that right ankle. He was in a walking boot at times last year, though he didn't miss a game. And if there's one thing that I'm always going to give love to Miller about, it's he's a tough mother effer. And he's played through a lot of wicked injuries throughout his entire career, and he's always shown you that if he's healthy, he's going to go out there and play. Because there's a difference between being injured and hurt. And when he's been hurt, he's gone out there and he's played. When he's been injured, obviously he hasn't been able to play. But Miller also, though, dealt with ankle issues back in 2020. And knowing that he's had these ankle issues in the past makes me feel like the Raiders are just going to play it a little bit more safe. And knowing that the Raiders are going to play it a little bit more safe, all I can really do up here right now is sit back and hope him a speedy recovery and sit back and hope that number 74 gets out on the field sooner rather than later. And honestly, that's all I want Raider fans to do today. I want you to show some love to Colton Miller, our left tackle that's been playing at a level like he's been playing at a all-pro left tackle level. He's played like the best left tackle in the National Football League this season because we need him on the field. The offensive line needs him on the field. And if you bleed silver and black, keep spamming those 74s down below because I really, really hope Colton Miller can get it out on the field sooner rather than later. Coming up next here on the show, though, we got, unfortunately, some more reasons why this is bad news because it doesn't just stop at Colton Miller. Colton Miller being injured, it impacts the entire offense. An offense right now that is dealing with its own issues, no doubt about it. Now, for those that do not know, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. And let's face it, you and I, we make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks where it's good to be right. On Prize Picks, how you play, it's totally up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if one of your lineups isn't perfect. If you want to see my lineup for Monday Night Football tonight, reminder, there's 2 games, Jets-Dolphins. Broncos Bengals. We will be live here on the Raiders Report. This is my lineup that I'm rolling with. It's 10 to pay $60. It's a flex play. If 3 out of these 4 picks end up hitting, I turn that $10 into 20. I'm going to be honest with you. I have had the most success on Prize Picks picking 3 to 4 players and doing a flex play. It's just where I've had the most success, and it's where I'm going to continue to roll. So if you plan on watching Monday Night Football tonight, get a lineup in. If you're planning on watching the Raiders and you're like, man, watching the Raiders win or lose every week is making me want to pull my hair out, I feel you. Guess what? Get a lineup in. You're going to have fun watching something. So bottom line is this. If you want to download the Prize Picks app today, I encourage you to do it. Just use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Let's keep it moving here on why the Kolton Miller injury news is bad news for the Raiders, and it's bad news for Kolton. The offensive line struggles. Now, I know the Raiders played much better yesterday against Chicago Bears. Crazy stat. The Raiders allowed 51 pressures the first 3 weeks of the season. The Raiders yesterday against the Chicago Bears allowed only 3 pressures. Here's going to be the problem. You have an offensive line that, let's be honest, one good game, I'm still concerned because the one good game was up against arguably the worst defensive line in the National Football League in the Chicago Bears. So you take a struggling offensive line that finally had a good game, and now you got to mix it up again. You got to have to switch up the chemistry. You're going to have to switch up the continuity, and that means that Brennan Carroll has to do something smart, which I don't know if Brennan Carroll is able or has the ability to do anything smart, quite frankly. But when I sit back and I go, okay, what are the different offensive lines that the Raiders could potentially roll with? I think that the potential offensive lines could be in a multitude of different ways. That's on me. And I'm sitting back here and I'm looking at the different offensive line options that we could roll with. We could go with this offensive line option, which quite frankly I think might be the number one line option that the Raiders decide to go with because they put Stone Forsythe out there on the field. Maybe the Raiders decide to go with this option here. Maybe they decide to put Charles Grant in there at left tackle, and I don't know if that's going to be what they do because I know they want to give Charles Grant some time to develop. Maybe they want to put DJ Glaze at left tackle and just really switch this whole thing up because they went out and they signed an Alex Kappa. Then they want to put Kappa at right guard. Dylan Parham played right tackle at Memphis, and then Jackson Powers-Johnson played left guard before. I don't know what the options are, but with no Kolton Miller at left tackle, that is only going to hurt our offensive line, which sucks because the offensive line finally played a good football game. Let's go to the next reason here why this is bad for the Raiders. There's no great replacements. We don't have a good replacement on our roster, and that's a frustrating statement because Stone Forsythe, who you signed this offseason, he's bad. I don't think you guys realize how bad he is. And if you want my comp for Raiders fans that might click in your head, Brandon Parker. And Brandon Parker was a swing tackle that never quite worked out. But would you want Brandon Parker protecting Geno Smith's blindside? The answer to that is no. Could the Raiders maybe decide to go and Charles Grant, somebody that they drafted in the 3rd round? If it was up to me, I would throw him in there. And I say that because I would rather a young player that we drafted in the 3rd round learn by trial of fire. And I say that because Kolton Miller, if you go look at Kolton Miller's first year, okay, Kolton Miller gave up 16 sacks as a rookie. Think about that. He gave up 16 sacks as a rookie. But he learned, he got better and better and better. I look at right now and I go, would I rather have Charles Grant play left tackle, who we drafted in the 3rd round, or would I rather have Stone Forsythe? I don't want Stone out there. I'd rather learn with Charles Grant. I'd rather go that way because, again, I don't think, in my mind, I find it hard to believe that Charles Grant would be as bad as Stone Forsythe overall. But at the exact same time, could the Raiders just move around other pieces of this offensive line? They're not going to go out and sign anyone. I don't think they're going to go out and trade anyone. I know today there was a trade that happened between the Houston Texans trading Cam Robinson to the Cleveland Browns, which that could have been a left tackle move that you made. But this team has shown me they're not going to be aggressive. They're going to do with what they have on the roster. And I think right now when you look at this Raiders roster, there's two options at left tackle. It's Charles Grant, it's Stone Forsythe. Though, I want to know what you guys have to say. What should the Raiders do at left tackle? Do you decide to roll with Charles Grant? Do you roll with Stone Forsythe? Or you're like, Mitch, somebody else has got to play left tackle. Who would you start? Let me know down below. For me personally, I would play Charles Grant. And I understand that he's even not ready. Let's go to the final news here of why this is bad. Losing Kolton Miller is definitely not going to help out Geno Smith. And if you're the Raiders, you got to be able to figure out every way possible how to get Geno Smith on track. You got to be able to figure out what makes this offense click. Chip Kelly needs to be able to show that he can protect Geno. And, Geno, he needs some help. And I think that help that he needs is within himself because he is seeing ghosts. And when I watched the Geno Smith tape last year compared to the Geno Smith tape this year, he just doesn't trust himself. He clearly doesn't trust the offensive line, and he's uncomfortable right now in the offense that he's in. But because of this left tackle issue now, he's going to be even less confident in the offensive line. And I'm concerned that we're going to get the same Geno Smith we've been getting because of the offensive line issues that we've had. The biggest reason, though, of why this Kolton Miller move is, again, not move is not the right word. The Kolton Miller injury is kind of the biggest kick in the nuts. Obviously, it's because we lose our left tackle. Obviously, it's because our offensive line finally got going. But it's because you need to be able to properly evaluate Geno Smith. And after a horrific start to the season, you need him to start playing his best football. I find it hard to believe that Geno Smith is going to be playing his best football without Kolton Miller protecting his blind side. But hey, what do I know? Here's what I do know. I'm going to be live a lot of the times this week. And I'm going to be live a lot of the times throughout the entire of the year. I am always going to be live on Raiders Game Day. I am always going to be live every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Then I'm going to be live for Monday Night Football. Every single Monday Night Football game, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then I'm going to be live every Tuesday. I'm going to be live for every Thursday night. If the Raiders keep on stinking, and you're like, Mitch, I love this show. It is a mental refresh for me. It's a way that I can hang out with a bunch of Raiders fans and have a good time. At this point, these are the shows that y'all should tune into because I can't guarantee the Raiders are going to win on game day. But I can guarantee Raider Nation's always going to show up like they've shown up today. Like, seriously, huge shout-out to Suavemente. Huge shout-out to Roseanne English. And you know what? Huge shout-out to Louie because he just said Kobe for throwing one down for my man Noah. Bottom line is this. Kolton Miller, I'm hoping that he's healthy. I'm hoping that he heals up. But from what it sounds like right now, high ankle sprain, I expect him to return at the earliest week 9 after that Raiders bye week. We got a lot of question marks around the offensive line, and we got a lot of question marks regarding Geno Smith. And this injury to Kolton clearly will not help out Geno. All right, y'all, let's go through some super chats here on today's program. I see that we got a few that we got to hit. Shout out to each and every one of y'all. How do you feel if the Raiders draft Isaiah World? I don't know yet. I mean, I'll say this. I have not done any research at all on any draft prospects. I haven't done it. So I appreciate when people ask me questions, but I also want people to know and understand that I'm never going to sit up here and bullshit you. I'm not. So my draft content, like where I really truly start looking at players, that doesn't happen until like late March, early April. And I give myself a solid month to try to absorb and break down players. I also, my guy Tom Downey, I think he is the best on the planet in terms of draft notes. I mean, Tom's going to give me draft notes that are like, it's like 600 pages long. Seriously. So, like, to me, I know how much homework he does and how much time we as a company, Chat Sports, allocate to Tom, where I look at Tom's notes and I make a lot of my judgment calls based off of players that he talks about, and then I'll see what Tom says, and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to look for that. If what I see on tape matches what Tom says, then a lot of times I roll forward with it, but I have not done any draft homework yet. It's just too early for me. Let's go to Beyblade Splummer. I don't know. Seahawks GM knows when to move on from quarterbacks. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but again, I think the problem is people that are saying, I knew what Geno Smith was, it doesn't make sense to me because Geno Smith has never been this bad. I understand that Raider fans not wanting a journeyman quarterback because of the past journeyman quarterback issues that the Raiders have had, but to say the Seahawks GM knew when to move on from a quarterback, I would also say that the Minnesota Vikings are a very smart organization that has done a lot of good things with their quarterback play. And, they also decided to move on from Sam Darnold. Tom Brady also didn't want Sam Darnold. We got to be able to give Seahawks credit. They're winning football games, but it's not because of the quarterback play. Seattle's winning games right now because they have the best defensive line in the NFL based on a metric. When they bring 4, they reach home more than anybody else, and it's not close. Louis from Suave! Bang! So that means, Suave, I'm giving you 50 raffles. Louis, I'm giving you 50 raffles. Shout out to y'all, man, for having each other's back. Every alley-oop from here on out, if you throw up to 50, you're getting 50 raffles. And if somebody throws it down because they have your back, you're getting 50 raffles as well. Let's do it. That is the definition of having each other's back. That is the definition of having each other's back. I freaking love it, man. I wish I could sound more excited. I told myself I'm not going to scream too loud today because my voice actually has been getting better. I feel like the more and more I've been talking, Lopez is going like this. Dude, this morning, when we did the audio check, it was like, the Little Rascals movie? That might be way before your time.
Yeah.
No chance?
No shot.
Yeah. Lopez, when were you born?
02.
So Lopez was born, oh my God, in 02. That's actually crazy. That's actually insane. Being born after 9/11. That's wild. That's besides the point though. So the Little Rascals, there's the guy in the Little Rascals that he sounds like he's got a frog in his throat. I don't think they call him Froggy, or I can't think of the actual name, but they call him. That's what I sounded like this morning. Like when I was calling my dad on my walk into work today, literally he was like, dude, you sound awful. He was like, I can't hear what you're saying. I'm like, I can't talk any louder. Armando for Kobe. Who's going to take it down? I feel like if we're going to do the whole Kobe thing, if you're Kobe, you throw one up. I think Shaq has got to be the alley to that. You know what I mean? Like Kobe's going to throw one up. Then you got to say Shaq when you throw it down. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. It would help me keep track of alley-oops. I'll tell you that. When were y'all born? Somebody just said Joshua. Joshua, you were born also in 02?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow, man. No, I know 9/11 was in 01. I'm saying he was born after it. Man. Let's go to the next one rolling in here, which it's from Shaq Thomas Castillo. Bang! So Armando threw it up, and Thomas Castillo, hell of a last name there, threw it down. Thomas, I got a question for you. Do you think Castillo is a common last name? Lopez, I feel like I can ask you this question as well.
Okay.
Is Castillo a common last name?
I don't think I've ever met anybody with the last name Castillo.
Really?
Really?
So, my wife's last name used to be Castillo. And I used to always tell Alex, I'm like, I feel like Castillo is a very common last name. Like, for me, I think baseball. I know a lot of Castillo baseball players. So, I don't know. I was like, Alex swears on it. She's like, Castillo's not a common last name. And I'm like, I feel like it is.
I think baseball might be the only.
Baseball is
spot.
probably the only way. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Evil Mitch said he was born in 1880. That's impressive. Raider Nation Cast, 1991. Brian Baca, 1987. Andrew says yes. Very common. Thomas Castillo said it's like Johnson and Smith. Thomas, thank you very much. I'm going to make sure that my wife sees that. Again, I don't know what inside jokes y'all have with your significant others or whatnot, but one of mine is that Castillo is a common last name. So anytime I see anybody with the last name, I'm like, that's a common-ass last name, Alex. It's a common-ass last name. And it's all good. Jeremy Cole. It's common in the SW. Southwest? Okay. I mean, that checks out.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
I mean, that totally checks out. Yeah, Castillo, you probably don't meet too many Castillos up in Maine. I don't know if I met any Castillos, quite frankly, when I lived in central Pennsylvania. Since moving down to Texas, I don't know what the correlation is, but I've definitely met more of them. Definitely met more. All right, y'all, we are all caught up on all the supers to the alley-oops that just came in. Y'all just got 50 raffle tickets for a shot to win a signed Ashton Genty helmet, which we are going to be giving away tomorrow here on the Raiders Report. I don't see anybody else getting in this duck race, and what I just noticed is we have right now 480 people tuning into this program. So here's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to do the final segment here on today's program, which is going to be some of the big news that I'm looking for going into Week 5 up against the Indianapolis Colts. Once this segment is done, then what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to do the duck race, and we're going to get on out of here. Also, I want to give a shout-out here to Brendan Diezik. He's the one that I am looking at our numbers here, and Lopez is crunching them behind the scenes. He's the one that was spamming 74.
That was the guy I was actually going to say.
So if you could just take his name, put him in the raffle, that would be much appreciated. Giuseppe, Mitch, how much is the duck race? It's a $10 Venmo. Now, if you send in a 20, you just get 2 ducks. Like, to me personally, I think I like doing $20 Venmo duck races more because I've just seen more people get in them. But I also don't want to do the same amount every single time. And I also know, like, on a Monday, I don't know, after a Raiders loss, maybe people just want to get in for a smaller duck race. So the way that we're doing today's deals are, you guys can see it up on here. We're giving away this Genty raffle jersey, or Genty raffle. Wow, can't think. We're giving away a Genty signed helmet. If you want to get raffle tickets for it, you can do that. The best deal, though, of the day is the 20. But now I think if you send in a 50, you get 50 raffle tickets. So I think that that's the best deal of the day now. If you throw up an alley and somebody throws down that oop, whoever the alley goes up to and the oop, you both get 50 raffle tickets. Why? Because you have each other's back. And I think that's pretty freaking dope. All right, so I don't know what you just did.
Who?
You.
What did I do?
You put those at the top.
Oh.
You're okay. I just got lost. Here are the people that I just see getting in this duck race now. Fabian Moreno, no surprise. The Night Devil. I also see Hugo Sanchez, you in. And then Simon TG, you in. So as it stands right now, Charles, I got you. You're in. Right now it is a $10 Venmo. You'd have the opportunity to go home with $100 here on today's program. 100 doll hairs on today's program. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I'll let you now fix it.
Robert, I did. I literally just did. Suave, I got you, bro. And I know. Suave. I know y'all have my back, believe me. It's just, like, to me, I know my real ones and the people that watch this show have my back. My fear is more of, like, it's I just know casual Raider fans won't watch the game if the Raiders are bad. And, I want this show to just hit a larger audience. I want to be able to, yesterday we had 13,000 people watching the show at one time. If the Raiders were winning football games, that number would be like that all the time, which just means more growth, means we can do more stuff, and I feel like I'm being held back here because the Raiders aren't winning football games. It's just the truth. It's just how this business works. Like, it's just how it goes. But, again, like, I don't want Raider Nation to ever give up on me because I'm never giving up on them. So, and I know you have my back, Suave. And I think everybody here knows that you have our back as well. What's up, Alex Perez? Appreciate you getting this in, man. Again, if you want to get a question, don't be afraid to ask one. If you forgot to put in a question, if you just want to comment one down below, I will I will be able to get that up on screen for you. So, all right, I see a few more people getting in this duck race. Let me just get these names in, and then I want to get in to the final segment here on today's program. Giuseppe, I got you. Noah Santana, I got you. David Vergara, I got you. And I saw all three of you got 2 ducks. So now it is 10 to win 130 doll hairs. It's a lot of doll hairs. Manuel, I appreciate that. Aaron, appreciate that, man. Yoda, appreciate that, man. I really do. I don't want you guys to give up on me because I know this. I'm not giving up on y'all. Coming up, let's talk about, though, I was going to say I kind of need some water. I got hiccups, and I'm just drinking coffee. All right, coming up here. Crap, I got hiccups. Can you just go out real quick and can you just fill this up with some water for me? You know what's actually crazy? Real quick here. You know how you guys were screaming Kobe? This is actually, I just saw this when you got up. I mean, that is unbelievable. I didn't even realize. Who was the first one that said Kobe? Did you guys see his shirt or no? Was it Louis? I think Louis was the one that did it. Louis, did you see his shirt? Like, I don't think he was on like a few times earlier, but he stood up and I was like, that's wild. Because I'll say this, like, obviously, like, if I shoot something into a garbage can, or if I shoot really anything, and if it's a fadeaway, it's Kobe every single time. But I don't know many people that have ever said Kobe when throwing up an alley-oop. So to me, that's pretty wild, man. Robert, I feel that. Alex, I'm pissed, Mitch. I had Geno as my fantasy starter. Shake my head. I'm heated. Yeah, I got Geno as my fantasy starter 2-in-1 league. Now, that's because Jaden Daniels is hurt, and I do a lot of 2 quarterback leagues. Thank you very much. But I think at the same time, it's like, we'll figure it out, right? I keep telling myself, I'm like, there's no way he could play worse than what he has. And then he shows up and he does it again, man. It's almost impressive how bad he's been. Emmanuel, you might not be wrong, dude. You might not be wrong that he was never the solution. It's only time is going to tell. Only time's going to tell. I just hope that he gets better and better and better, because if we get the Geno Smith that I saw on tape the previous 3 years to Seattle, he is no doubt the solution to a lot of our problems. If Geno Smith was the quarterback that he was in Seattle, we're 3-1 right now. We beat the Chargers. We beat the Chicago Bears. The only team that I don't think that we would have beat was Washington, but that's because we gave up 41. We will see. All right, let's get into this next segment. Then we're going to get into the duck race, and then I'm going to get out of here until Monday Night Football. Sound good? Hope so. Also, let me just get to the proper spot in the script. Sorry on that last show. I confused myself.
Nah, you're good.
All right. I am ready to rock. All right, let's do this. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I got the must-see Raiders news and the top storylines around the nation heading into NFL Week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, let's face the facts here. When you're a Raiders fan, you want the Raiders to sit back and be like, I want them to look at how that Chicago Bears game went, and I want them to be able to learn from it. Also, though, you got to be able to have that short memory because you're 1-3 going on the road up against a 3-1 team. I need your focus to be on Indianapolis, and I need you to be able to take down the Colts because this is a must-win game. I literally think that your season is on the line, so we got to get going in the right direction, and it starts today. But we're going to go through the top 5 biggest storylines here. The first storyline that I have, and it's going to be around Geno Smith. And the Geno Smith talk yesterday when I was live on the Raiders Report, today when I'm live right now on the show, there has been so much conversation around the benching of Geno Smith. And here's the thing. I think the conversation is only going to get louder because there is a chance that Aiden O'Connell can return to play. So he has been put on short-term IR, which meant he's got to miss a minimum of 4 games. So technically, he is eligible to come off IR week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts. If he comes off the IR, he basically gets a 3-week window to get out on the field. If he's unable to get out on the field in that 3-week window, then he's done for the season. But obviously, Aiden's not going to be done for the season. Here's what I know about the Raiders fans, though. The Raider fans are not sold on Kenny Pickett because they don't know him yet. And the amount of people that were screaming from the rooftops that Aiden O'Connell is a better quarterback than Geno Smith is eye-popping to me. I don't blame people for being frustrated with Geno because of how bad he's been. I'm frustrated with Geno Smith too. Do I think that Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell is better than Geno Smith? I do not. But you know what? This show isn't just about what I think. This is going to be storylines that I know a lot of Raider fans are going to be talking about. And if Aiden O'Connell is able to come back and play, there will be, I'm telling you right now, lots and lots and lots of Raiders fans begging Pete Carroll to start Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. So this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. It's the number one question that I want you to answer. Who should start at quarterback if all 3 of these options are healthy? Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, or Aiden O'Connell? My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. It is so clearly Geno Smith, and I can't iterate that enough. Geno Smith is going to be the Raiders quarterback this season. He's probably going to be the Raiders quarterback next season unless he keeps playing as bad as what he's playing. But the Raiders also went out and they traded for Kenny Pickett. So if this is a Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell conversation, they're going to go with Kenny Pickett over AOC. And they decided to pay up even a little extra because of the AOC injury, but also because they wanted a better backup quarterback due to how bad O'Connell looked this entire offseason. Let's go to storyline number 2 here around the Las Vegas Raiders, and let's talk about Lonnie Johnson Jr. because is he ready to come back from injury? Johnson had a broken fibula, and I don't know if it's a hairline. I don't know what exactly the injury was in terms of how severe it was, but when Johnson went down, every single person around the nation thought his season was over. The Raiders ended up putting him on IR. He has the ability to return from short-term IR this week. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't really think it's going to be something that if I'm the Raiders, I'm really rushing to make happen. Do we need extra help in our secondary? Yes, obviously, we need extra help in our secondary. However, though, I don't really think Lonnie Johnson Jr. fixes our free safety problem, which we clearly have. And, we don't have somebody right now in our secondary, when you look at the depth chart, that is truly a free safety. I feel bad for Isaiah Paul-Amal because he's just clearly not getting used in the correct way, and it's really impacting, I think, his growth as a player overall. But for Johnson, when you look at how they were using him before the injury, they were using him as the big nickel, and they were using him as a potential starter. The Raiders do a lot of safety looks. They do a lot of big nickel, and I think when Lonnie Johnson Jr. comes back, it's going to help out on special teams, no doubt about it. It's also going to help out just having some of that extra depth, if you will. He's a good run stopper, so maybe that would help going up against the Indianapolis Colts that are going to be a team that runs the football a ton. But I'm looking at some injuries, and we're going to talk a lot about, and I mean this, a lot of injury talk today, because Lonnie Johnson Jr. does have the ability to come off short-term IR if he's healthy and if he's able to do it. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is going to be something that I think that we need to look at as Raider fans because he does give us more depth and he does help our defense out a little bit. Here's also what I always am going to ask, and I know I've been asking a lot from all y'all recently, and I've been saying recently, don't give up on the Raiders Report. Well, don't give up on us. I want this to be the #1 Raiders show in the entire world. Obviously, I do. I do this for a living, but we're getting close to 205,000 subscribers. We need 137 more to do it. I hope that by the time I go live next here on the Raiders Report, we have hit that number. If you believe in me, if you believe in the Raiders Report, if you believe in Raider Nation, I hope you hit that subscribe button because I guarantee you this, you will become a smarter Raiders fan. Let's go to the third storyline here. Going in to Week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts, it's the Colton Miller injury news. And if you don't know it already, I am still waiting for the severity of how long Miller is going to be out. It is confirmed that he has a high ankle sprain. We do not know how many weeks he's going to be out at this current moment that I am filming this video. If I had to anticipate how long he's going to be out, I'm going to sit up here and go, I think it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. I think at the absolute earliest that you see him is week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I say that because when you look at the schedule, obviously he's not going to play this week. And the fact that the Raiders have that week 8 bye, the week 8 bye is why I am confident you're not going to see him return before that week 8 bye. Why would you risk the injury to your left tackle who's had past ankle injuries and throughout his career? College, NFL, it's continuously happened. So to me, I think the possibly earliest that you're going to see Colt Miller is week 9 up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Coming up next here, though, let's talk about some offensive line options that I think that the Raiders could really try to roll out. I'll be real with you. I don't know if I like any of the options that I'm going to mention, but the 3 options that you're going to see are the options that I believe are the most likely to happen for the Silver and Black. Before I get into the Raiders' offensive line options, because we got to figure out what to do in the trenches after losing Miller, today's show is sponsored and powered by Prize Picks. You and I, we make decisions every single day, but making the right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. And I don't want to miss any of the excitement this season with our sponsor, Prize Picks. And it's simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Now, there is a new feature on Prize Picks, which it's really cool and it's kind of fun because Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. And if you want to pick more on, I don't know, maybe Bo Nix passing yards or maybe Chase Brown receiving yards or J.K. Dobbins, you want to roll with like receptions, rushing yards, whatever. This is my lineup from Monday Night Football. Now, the people that are watching the show live, these haven't happened yet. When you guys watch this video on a later date, we're going to be able to see whether or not I was able to turn that 10 into $60, which is why I love being able to do sometimes this type of thing. But bottom line is this. If you plan on watching a football game, if you plan on watching, baseball right now, there's going to be a lot of great baseball games coming up, which I'm heartbroken as a Raiders fan because it was a tough day for me yesterday. Not only did the Raiders lose, but also my Mets, they got knocked out of playoff contention. And I know, Lopez is sitting over here next to me as a Reds fan, and he's killing me right now. But it is what it is. But seriously, though, if you're sitting down and you're watching a game, you're going to have a lot more fun, and you're going to be a lot more invested in that game if you got a lineup on Prize Picks. So download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And I'm hoping that I'm right this week with my Prize Picks lineup because after a Raiders loss, it helps putting a little bit of money in my pocket. So let's talk about the Raiders' offensive line here. Here's what we got on the roster. And if this is what we got on the roster, this is what I think the Raiders are going to try to work with moving forward as they try to replace Colton Miller. And here's the thing. You're not going to be able to replace Colton Miller. You're not going to be able to replace one of the best left tackles in the National Football League. And it's frustrating because the Raiders just had their best offensive line game that they've had all season long, and now they got to move some things around. What I think the Raiders end up doing is option number 1, which essentially is them keeping Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers-Johnson, and DJ Glaze all in the exact same spot, but they used the newly acquired Stone Forsythe earlier this offseason, and they put him at left tackle. He was playing left tackle when Miller went down. I just have no confidence in Forsythe at all. I also know that he's not going to be a long-term option. Option number 2 is out of the 3 options that I'm going to show you, probably would be the option that I would decide to roll with because you keep your offensive line the same, and you keep it the same after having a solid game. You drafted Charles Grant in the 3rd round. I understand that he's been a healthy scratch. I understand that there's a lot of reports and a lot of people that I talk to tell me that he's clearly not ready to go, but I would rather Charles Grant learn because to me, he's got to be your future at left tackle or at least show that he can grow in the proper direction. And let's not forget, Colton Miller as a rookie allowed 16 sacks. If you don't believe me, go look at how bad the numbers were as a rookie. And now he's one of the best left tackles in the NFL. Sometimes you got to learn by getting thrown in the fire. And right now, I need Charles Grant to be able to succeed in that fire. Here's the crazy 3rd option that I don't know if the Raiders decide to go with this route. The only reason why I am showing this up on screen is because Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Brandon Carroll have shown me that they value certain players more than other players. What do I mean by that? They have their guys, and their guys don't have to do what some of the other players have to do on this roster to earn spots. Maybe that's an unfair thing to say. I think it's a truthful thing to say. So I'm going to move DJ Glaze to left tackle because Glaze is our best offensive tackle. So you decide to put him at left tackle. JPJ goes to left guard. Jordan Meredith goes to center. The Raiders seem in love and infatuated with Alex Kappa, trying to get him out on the field. So they're going to put Kappa at right guard, and then they're going to put Dylan Parham at right tackle because Parham played right tackle at Memphis. I know that this is the craziest option, and quite frankly, I hope it's an option that doesn't happen. But here's what we got to be able to figure out. What should be the Raiders' offensive line going up against the Indianapolis Colts? Because it's got to be an equation that we figure out. And I have confidence that the Raiders can do it because we were able to show growth and massive, massive growth this past week up against the Bears. Yes, we lost the game. 240 rushing yards, I think, proves, though, that we did a lot of the right things. So I want to know from you, what should be the Raiders' O-line up against the Colts? My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. If it was up to me, I'm not going to lie, it would be literally none of the offensive line plans that I showed you. And I showed you offensive line plans that I think the Raiders are going to do. If it was truly, truly up to me, I'm going Charles Grant at left tackle. I'm putting Jordan Meredith at left guard. I'm putting JPJ at center. I'm putting Dylan Parham at right guard. And I'm putting DJ Glaze at right tackle. That's the offensive line I would roll with. Let's go to the fourth storyline here on the Raiders Report. Let's talk about Eric Stokes. And I don't know if Stokes is going to be able to play Week 5 up against Indy. And I think out of all the corners that we need, I think Stokes is the most important because he's the most physical corner we have. Kai Blue Kelly's not physical, and he's been just absolutely horrific the past few weeks. Also, Darian Porter, really soft player if we're being honest, and this is kind of a nightmare matchup for him because Indy's going to run at him, and I know they're going to run at him. But for Stokes, he's had knee issues in the past, and he had to leave Week 4 early with a knee injury, unable to return to the game. I want to say Darian Porter ended up filling in, probably got like 17 snaps in total for him. But because he's dealt with knee injuries in the past, and he's dealt with them like multiple times throughout his career. I mean, again, for those who don't know, Stokes was a first-round pick. Very highly touted coming out of Georgia, but the injuries kind of added up and zapped him of being able to get on the field. He was able to be healthy last year, but the majority of his career, he's been injured. And these knee issues are popping up now, and that scares the hell out of me. Also, DeCamerion Richardson. He was inactive and has been inactive with a really nagging hamstring injury that doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. So I'm looking at the Raiders and what the hell they're going to do at corner. This cornerback room, Darian Porter and Kai Blue Kelly, it might be the worst cornerback starting duo in the National Football League right now. And that scares the absolute hell out of me. Now, I do want to add one more bonus storyline in here, and it's around Michael Mayer, and it's whether or not he's going to return. There was a few things that the coaching staff said last week in regards to Mayer where I didn't think he was going to play, but it did sound like he was trending in the right direction to play this week. My expectation is Michael Mayer is out there on the field, and my other expectation is the way that the Raiders used Ian Thomas and Brock Bowers yesterday, there was a lot more two tight end sets, which really helped out get this running game going. I want to see more of it. And if we're injured at certain spots, I don't even think it's a bad idea to use Brock Bowers as a wide receiver, use Michael Mayer and Ian Thomas then as that two tight end set. Because what we got to be able to do, somebody else besides the name of Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, and even Trey Tucker has to start becoming a more focal point in the receiving game because we don't have another option besides those guys right now. Let's go to the fifth and final storyline going into the Colts game. Can Ashton Jeanty do it again? Can Chip Kelly get Jeanty involved again? I mean, 3 total touchdowns, 6.6 yards per carry. It was a absolutely positively unbelievable game. But with the injury to Colton Miller, with the shakiness of Geno Smith, if I'm the Raiders, I'm sitting back and I'm going, I know the plan was to throw the ball and to stretch the ball down the field with Geno, but I think now the game plan's got to change up a little bit. I don't want to see any more pistol formations. I want to see Ashton Jeanty standing up like Michael Myers, and I want him running through some other effing faces. If we got to be that physical football team, let's find a way to do it. But to me, with the injury to Colton Miller, I think that this just means we have to trust Ashton Genty and we got to trust Geno Smith a little bit less. I think 20 carries a game, 20 touches a game is what number two's got to be around. And you showed, when I say you, Genty, showed that when you give the right work and you get the right play calls and you actually get some space, you can do some pretty flippin' unbelievable things. And I'm wondering if Ashton Genty could do it again, because he needs to be able to do it again if we're going to get a win against Indianapolis. If y'all don't know my schedule, I am going to be live today, later on, depending on when you watch this video. Live always from Monday Night Football. Live every single Tuesday. We're giving away the Ashton Genty helmet, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I'm live for every single Thursday Night Football show. And if you don't know, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and always be ready to rock and roll here on the Raiders Report. All right, y'all, what should be the Raiders O-line versus the Colts? If you want to let me know, please do. I'm seeing a lot of fans right now down below. Shout out to all y'all for pulling up. If you want to get your questions or comments on this program, it's hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. We do right now have over 450 people in the building today, which has been an amazing day, I would say, here on the Raiders Report. To the people that want to know where we're at in the duck race, we're about to run the duck race now, so I'll say this. This is going to be my final call for you to get in this duck race. Final call, $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Fluhy, what's up, Fluhy? I got you in. What's up, Fluhy? Right now, first place goes home with $150, which, now that I'm looking at it, that was a lie, because it's a lot more. Brian Baca, I got you. Norman Hernandez, I got you. LA Crash, got you. Bruce Bird, got you. Fabian, got you. Soldier Man, got you. So right now, $10 Venmo, you would go home with $75. First place going home with $175. Though, I could be tempted to give, what if we did first place gets $100, third place gets $20.
Third place gets their money back.
Well, so third place gets 20, first place gets 100, second place gets 55. If we ran it right now, we could do something like that. Or if you're just like winner take all, y'all can let me know. Winner take all, Y for yes, N for no. No more pistol formations. I'm with you. Rebel said last place.
That'd be fun. Like a reverse duck race.
Rebel said I want last place.
Last place.
All right, how about this? Last place gets $69. First place gets whatever the remainder is. 106. I'm in. Last place, 69. First place, you get the rest. That's how we'll do it. We'll do it like that. Rebel, just for you. Just for you, Reb. Oh, boy. Louie, it's always Kobe. It's always Kobe. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. It's kind of crazy. So, Louie threw up an alley and just said Kobe. And homeboy over there has got a Kobe shirt on. I mean, I've never seen anybody throw up an alley for Kobe. He's got a Kobe shirt on. Pretty wild. Yes. Whatever. Just get me a bowl. Yep. Chicken, anything. Chicken's fine. Chicken will work. I mean, I'm not going to get upset if you load it up. I'll say that. I'm not going to be upset. Sorry, Chugs is like, do you want to eat tonight? My answer is yes. All right, final call. We still have a few more super chats to go through here, so let's go through these. Louie. All right, we got that one. I think there was one more.
Yeah,
Steffi. It's loading. All right, I got you. It's loading. Soldier Man. All right, Simon TG. Luis got in. Love it. And then Andrew D. I got you, Andrew D. Final refresh here. Make our offensive line great again. I mean, again, I'm not going to get into politics. I don't know if this is a politics thing, what you're going with here, but I agree. I want the Raiders' offensive line to be great again. I want it to be the Rodney Hudson, the true car insurance offensive lines that, like to me, Derek Carr was an amazing quarterback, no doubt about it. But if there's one thing that, DC had that not a lot of other teams that have had, is a great offensive line. And when you are a average quarterback, it can really help you be great. And Derek, when that offensive line was at its peak, it helped Derek look like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I know what a great offensive line can do. Look at a team like the Detroit Lions. It's when you watch certain teams and the clinic that they put on from an offensive line standpoint, that's why they win games. Yeah, that's why they win games. What up, Angel? Mitch, what's our culture as a team? I don't know if we have one right now. And I think the Raiders are still trying to find their identity a little bit. It's tough because this is a really hard-working football team. I've heard that from multiple players. Max is always going to be able to set the tone. Geno's a really hard-working guy as well. I just think right now for the Raiders, their culture is compete. The problem is, though, I don't know if Pete's making everybody compete at the exact same level. I don't know the culture of the team, though. I'll be real. I think it is a hard-working team. I think it's a team that they're very close together as a group. I've talked to a few players that have told me that they believe that this is the closest team that they've ever been on since being on the Raiders. Now, maybe that's not saying a lot because, again, they hated McDaniels, that whole regime. Antonio Pierce quickly became unpopular in that locker room. And then, now you got now, which we're not winning football games. So I think once we start winning, if we start winning, that's going to change the culture of this team. Raider J, not going to lie, I'd like to see what this team would look like under Patrick Graham's lead. I don't totally disagree with that statement either. I think Patrick Graham is one of the more underappreciated coaches in the NFL, and I think the numbers have proven that. But I also don't – if you don't get it going with Pete, I think when you look at a lot of these successful franchises in the NFL, it's why I was begging for a young, offensive-minded head coach. That's where the league is headed. And you look at a lot of these really good young teams. They have young quarterback play, and a lot of times they're led by a great offensive-minded young head coach. And if Pete Carroll doesn't work, I want to go out and I want to try to find a young, innovative, offensive-minded coach. So I have the utmost respect for PG. And I think anybody that watches the show knows that. But if Pete doesn't work, we got to go offense. And we got to be able to find somebody that fits with our quarterback that we go out and get. That's how I'm doing it. All right, y'all. No more super chats coming in. Final refresh here on the program. And I see a bunch of more people getting it in. Holy cow. All right. This is going to be it. Stephen Mont, gotcha. Adrian Herrera, gotcha. Ruiz, I gotcha twice. Brendan Dizik, love it. Common, gotcha. Justine Gons, gotcha. All right. No more people getting it in. All right, Lopez, I'm going to send you this. Yep. So that means how it stands right now is, let me do the math. Last place gets $69. First place is going home with $161. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. First place gets $161. Last place gets $69. Brandon, holy shit. I might tweet that out. And Geno Smith has thrown another interception. That's hilarious. I'm not going to lie. I hate even laughing to that, but you got to laugh at it, man. When he threw that third one coming out of half, I literally laughed. I was like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Can't believe what I'm watching right now.
You do a minute.
It was honestly hard to believe. Yep, 1 minute. All right, y'all. If you're like Mitch, I just sent one in. I'll get you in the duck race later on tonight for Monday Night Football. But there's nobody else that I saw get in. Could you, when you go to it, can you just give me a quick little
Yeah.
little shuffle? All right, we're doing the iconic original duck race. You ready?
I'm good whenever you are.
Let's rock. 3, 2, 1, let's ride. Why does PG play so soft in crucial situations? I'm not going to disagree. There was some frustration on my end as well on PG playing a little bit soft yesterday. I think it's also, though, the Raiders don't have depth. And I think for PG, he feels like he's got to play a little bit softer. But that's also like what Patrick Graham does. He really relies on having you stay in the lead, which I'm actually looking at this now. To Brian Baca and Norman Hernandez, if you guys win, the whole pot's going to you because I effed that up. So I'm actually really sorry about that. I didn't hit the space bar on that. So Brian Baca, Norman Hernandez, you guys are tag teaming this.
Together.
If that ends up happening, Baca and Norman, if that's the one that ends up winning, we're just splitting it right down the middle. That's on me. I was looking at that name. I'm like, that's the longest name I've ever seen in my entire life. 4 seconds to go. Who's it going to be? Mikey. Mikey. All right, can you scroll down and show me?
No Santana.
Suave got it?
Yeah, he was
Son of a
last.
gun.
He was last.
Mikey, if you could please confirm that you just received $161, that would be much appreciated. And then to who was Brian Baca and who was the other person that I screwed that up on? Baca and Hernandez. To Baca and Hernandez, I'm going to put you guys in our Monday Night Football duck race right from the jump. That's on me. I don't know how I didn't notice that. Who was it? Was it Norman Hernandez?
Yes,
Norman Hernandez. And then to Suave, not only do you get the butthole pick, you also get $69. So, hang on a second here. Hang on a second, Suave. I'm looking. All right, I got you. Suave sent. Mikey sent to you as well. All right, y'all. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for pulling up today on the Raiders Report. And again, this is how I think Monday's show's got to run. I want y'all to talk to us. I want you to get your super chats in. I want you to get your questions in. And I want us to be able to have healthy conversation. Let's vent about it. There is a lot of frustration from me as well around Geno Smith. I promise you this, just because I sit up here and I'll say I believe in Geno, just because I sat up here and I'll say, I want Geno to still be the quarterback of this team, I am not afraid, though, to call out certain guys. And I know for a fact Geno needs to be better. But I also know that I don't think Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell is a better option than Geno. And I think that the Raiders are going to continue to just keep it moving with him. It's not been pretty. Hopefully it can only get better, and hopefully we get a win against the Indianapolis Colts. From me, huge shout out to Lopez for pulling up today. If you want to hang out with Jeremy Chuggs and I tonight for Monday Night Football, that show is going to be getting started at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, here on the Raiders Report.